It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stat Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant, Zach, and Connor with you today. No Brett Norsworthy. He's out today. We're all out tomorrow for the 4th of July. He'll also be out on Friday, so Zach, nice enough to help us out these next couple of days. You hear him in the mornings, but helping us out these 2 days in the afternoon. Zach, first off, thank you for helping us out. But how are you this afternoon?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say.
You can say you're welcome.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be here, and secondly, I'm missing a afternoon nap. But hey, I'm glad to be here. If there's one day or there's one time period where I can forget a nap, it's NBA free agency.
Well, it's a perfect time. I mean, there's plenty to talk about. But I'll be honest, especially during college, maybe right out of college, I was a massive napper. Through high school, I was a big napper.
Yes.
But now that I've got to do John's show and then this show, I don't give me naps anymore.
No.
Maybe a little snoozer on the weekends. But really nothing outside of that, which is kind of a shame. So I do feel your pain not being able to get a nap.
It's okay though.
Good.
We'll make it up as summer rolls along.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you mentioned an NBA free agency going on right now. We'll talk a lot about that because a lot going on. We got LeBron James finally get his deal. We got the specifics on Bronny. We've got maybe Buddy Hield might become a Warrior. So a lot of NBA free agency topics to talk about. But before we get to any of that, Zach, you're a Cowboys fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. Connor's a Cowboys fan. And I haven't seen this. This happened, I guess, over the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, and I completely missed it. I heard it during Colin Cowherd's show. They were discussing it, and so I had to look it up. Have you seen the comments by Malik Hooker about Micah Parsons and his podcast?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
What did you think of them?
Nothing.
Really?
I didn't think much of it.
See, on with Cowherd, and I know how Cowherd is, the show. Cowherd's not in today. It was his usual producer was hosting today, Jason McIntyre.
Yeah.
And he was saying, we're watching the end of the Cowboys in front of our eyes, kind of just because of the back and forth. You've got contract issues with, Dak and CD, and now you got defensive players arguing amongst each other. Now, for people who don't know about it, because like I said, I just learned about it, Malik Hooker joined the All Facts, No Breaks podcast. I believe Keyshawn Johnson runs that podcast.
Yeah, and his kid.
And how old's his kid?
I don't know.
Like young kid or like?
Yeah, like Keyshawn Jr.
But like, are we talking about like a kid, or are we talking about like our age?
Like a young adult kid.
Okay. I was about to say
like a young adult.
I didn't know if it was like a 14-year-old asking
he's just
Micah Parsons podcast.
He's just a light-skinned Keyshawn Johnson.
I see. So he sounded off about Micah Parsons in his podcast. This is what he said. He said, quote, "If the run game is terrible and you're doing a podcast every week, what are you really caring about? Are you caring about the crowd that's watching your podcast or caring about the success of our team and the Super Bowl we're trying to reach?" I think Micah responded. I saw some response from him.
Yeah, because Micah went on Twitter, and then he went. So
it was just basically, I wish you would have told me this to my face instead of doing it on a podcast.
Yeah, so they definitely took that clip and ran with that because they took that out of
podcast. What are you supposed to do?
They took, and that's the thing about the podcast era that we're in now. Like you would take a clip and run with it without any context.
Sure.
Because the thing is that I advise everybody just to go back and listen to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen, because like I said, I just learned about this an hour ago, so I haven't even had time to go and even listen to the whole interview, so I don't really know the context that it was taken from.
So the context was they asked him about Micah and his podcast and why he's his podcasting throughout the season.
Sure.
And like Malik said, look, listen, man, like, look, we're grown. Like, I'm gonna make sure I take care of my business. It's not bothering me one way or the other. It's like, that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. At the end of the day, we got a job to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. And if we can't,
it's a lot better. You know?
And if we can't, if we can't complete our job and we got other outside distractions, distracting us, then like, what are we doing?
So to me, it sounds like a perfectly reasonable answer that somebody took and chopped up to only hear the pointed part of it.
Yes.
And posted it to social media.
And then you just amplify it like times a million because they're the Cowboys. You know.
Yeah. That doesn't help.
Because if this was Myles Garrett, and who's their best defensive back there? What? Denzel Ward. And Denzel Ward comes on the show and say, yeah, like Myles Garrett's too much into dinosaurs, It's like the pass rush, we're not getting to the quarterback quick enough. It's like, I think Myles Garrett needs to stop focusing on dinosaurs and focus on rushing the passer.
Sure.
It's the same thing. It's just nobody cares about the Browns, and anything Cowboys related is being amplified. So
what is your stance? I think I know your stance. What is your stance on current players doing podcasts? Because I've had kind of arguments with some people who are saying, they need to focus on practice and games, but I think that's just kind of this generation of players is like social media is very much what they grew up on. Podcasts and digital media is very much what they grew up on, and now they have that avenue. Unlike players in the past where they can very easily, all you got to do is buy a, $100 mic, probably even cheaper than that, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because they make that much money. Buy a $100 mic and you can make a podcast.
Of course.
And so it's very easy to do. I see no problem with it as long as and like with Micah Parsons, dominant player on the field, you're not seeing any, him taking steps back because he's spending all his time doing podcasts. I have no problem with him making podcasts.
Yeah, no, I don't have an issue with it. As long as you keep the main thing the main thing.
Right.
And don't let it distract you from your end goal. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that affect Micah, because I think scheme-wise, Micah was slowed down to a certain extent. Sure. And I think Dan Quinn could have done a better job of putting him into better positions. Mm-hmm. But that's still, again, I know for the masses out there that's listening, it's like, well, it's just a distraction. You should never just done it. Well, it allows you to kind of go in depth with what a player thinks throughout the week. Yeah. What they were thinking throughout the game last week. I get it. I understand, like the old school way of like, you need to focus strictly on football, like nothing else, like just eat, sleep, football. But in this generation or this era, multitasking is the way to go for us.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like if you're going out there and you're a quarterback that has a podcast and you go out there and you have 3 interceptions and a fumble, right? Your team got beat by 21 points, and then the next day you put out your podcast, and right? You're talking about whatever. Then you can maybe have a conversation about, hey, maybe don't worry about the podcast and worry about completing passes. So I think there's a little bit of nuance there of kind of like you said,
for sure,
how you're able to kind of juggle things and multitask. And I think Micah Parsons has shown that. It looks like he can do it and still be fine on the field.
Mike is still like wrecking teams week in and week out. Yeah. So regardless if he does the podcast or not, he's still dominant. Oh yeah. So that's not going to change, which I expect not to, because I kind of like to every now and then I kind of like to hear what he has to think about. This upcoming matchups and different things like that. So.
No, I mean, it's a good podcast. Another guy that does a podcast that made headlines last night is. Obviously, Draymond Green, who we have seen a lot of.
Funny enough, when he started his podcast, they won the championship while he was doing his podcast.
That's right. Interesting. So maybe a correlation there.
You can do both.
We can only hope, I guess.
But then again, it's just Draymond. Draymond is not reliant on scoring the basketball, and
Draymond's just in there.
He's a
great player. Don't get me wrong,
try to keep the vibes in check,
a vibe guy. I love that. So last night, Draymond Green put out another edition of the Draymond Green Show, his podcast. And he said during it was talking about Klay Thompson and mentioned that kind of talking about how that conversation goes. And this is what he said. He said, quote, "Last year during free agency, I called Klay, I called Steph, separate calls, and Kerr. And I was just telling them, like, yo, I'm leaving. I'm going to Memphis." So, I mean, Draymond, almost a Grizzly, it seems like last year. I don't know how Grizzly fans would have accepted that or dealt with it. They would have accepted it. I mean, he goes out there and plays his role and, does Draymond things. Everyone's going to love it. But, I mean, Grizzly fans and Draymond have gone back and forth during games in recent years. So
Yeah.
it would have been an interesting fit.
I think it would, like, the symbiotic relationship with Memphis and Draymond would have been fun.
Sure
It
would.
would have been fun to kind of keep track of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't know how to feel about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you this earlier.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I just don't know how I feel about it.
I would have loved it. I mean, I like Draymond. I know, like, that's almost like a controversial thing to say in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
But Draymond's a great player, and he plays his role well. Yeah, I understand, like, some of the extra stuff that comes with him, especially in the last year or so, has been, distractive of his play. But when you talk about Draymond as a player and what he brings and what I think he brings to the locker room, I think he's a great teammate and I think he's a great player. So I would have loved to have him here in Memphis, but I don't think it would have been as easy of a sell for some people out there.
Yeah,
which is fine.
It's fine. I and like you said, I would have accepted it and just kind of figured out, like, all right, like, Draymond's on this team. So how in the world this is going to impact the Grizzlies in some way this upcoming season if it happened.
Yeah.
Because again, you had Marcus Smart was traded.
That's right.
Into the Grizzlies. You had to do a signing trade to get rid of Dillon. So more than sure you had to do a signing trade to get Draymond into Memphis. So if that was the case.
Yeah, I guess you would have.
And then you signed Derrick Rose to a 2-year vet minimum. So it's like, it's like the what if branch is kind of like starts to steam out like a little bit in that sense.
Yeah.
Because then, like, would you trade for a Marcus Smart if you got a Draymond, a locker room guy?
Yeah.
Or would you still do a trade for it?
Good question. I say you bring him in, but I mean, what do I know? With the Golden State Warriors, they've kind of been a big story the past couple of days. Klay Thompson now in Dallas, part of a sign and trade. But late last night, reports coming out that maybe they could add another shooter, a guy that, Zach, we were talking about, I think, yesterday, that I said the Grizzlies are in need of a shooter, and they want to go out and grab somebody off the free agent market. It's a guy I would be fine with. Buddy Hield. It sounds like there's been discussions between him and Golden State about maybe him landing there. What do you think of that fit move? We can talk more about it later. We're going to talk a lot of NBA free agency at 4:30. But that was kind of the big news that jumped out to me last night, that maybe not Klay Thompson, but is certainly known as a shooter in the NBA, and maybe you could get somewhat of a Splash Bros continued with Buddy. Or do I love Buddy too much?
I mean, it's regardless. Like, if you love him, you love him. So
I love Buddy Hield.
If you love him, you love him. It's defense is optional with Buddy Hield. So he's a microwave, but that microwave will go cold.
Yeah.
For weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe months.
Yeah.
And in the crucial moments of the playoffs.
Yeah. That is true. But he knocks down threes, Zach. I mean,
yeah, like I think one statistic said that he has taken and made the most 3-pointers.
Holy cow.
Or something like that. I can't remember
something
what
like that.
What,
that sounds right.
Because in your mind you're thinking, okay, Steph should be on there, Klay should be on there, definitely Dame should be on there, like number one. But they said like Buddy Hield. I'm like, why Buddy Hield?
I remember one of my favorite stats about Buddy Hield that has nothing to do with him as a player. I guess it does. But last year he played the most games, I think, in the NBA and played in like 83 or 84 games because he was traded before the deadline, but it was something like one team had played less than the other, and so when he got over and immediately started playing, he ended up playing more than 82 games because of the trade, which is a great stat, a great tidbit. I don't know how much it helps you with anything else, but it's definitely something that sticks out to me. He's going to go out there and play. Maybe that's like you don't have to worry about injuries. I don't know.
I guess.
But I like Buddy Hield. So maybe we'll see that. It's been a quiet day for free agency today. After what we got Monday, Tuesday, today's been fairly quiet.
I think teams trying to figure out what's the next step.
Yeah.
What's the next plan? Because there's still another wave of free agency. Because like you said,
Sure.
Buddy Hield is still on the.
Buddy Hield's still there. Tyce Jones still there.
Tyce Jones. You still got Lonnie Walker.
Yeah.
Caleb Martin. Like you still got like a handful of like good guards that you could have on your rotation. It's just right now like all the contenders, they're kind of tight on money.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
Yeah.
They're tight on money and trying to figure out like, okay, like if we go this way, we need to have some money over here for just in case. We need to, that type of thing.
Tricky game.
It is. Either you're gonna take the semi big deal to play on a bad team, or you're gonna play on a vet minimum for or a semi decent contract for a contender.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if any moves are made later this afternoon. I mentioned it. We're going to talk a ton of NBA free agency at 4:30. A lot of interesting things out there. I saw The Athletic put the Grizzlies. They did tiers for next season. It was interesting where they put the Grizzlies. We'll talk about that. Some other things. LeBron James signs his new contract. So a lot of free agency at 4:30, and we'll update if anything else happens before that time. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Max Chadwick, the college football analyst for Pro Football Focus. He'll join us to talk college football. As hard to believe, but only a couple of weeks away from SEC Media Days. I saw Big 12 put out their preseason standings in anticipation for their Media Day. So it's starting to get that time. We'll talk college football with Max Chadwick in our next segment. 3:45, we'll talk some baseball. I was a little disappointed. No day games today in Major League Baseball, but we also did have a trade earlier today between the Brewers and the Rays. 4 o'clock, John Goen will join us, talk some golf, and make some picks from Timber Trust Golf. 4:30, we'll talk NBA free agency. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Kevin Sweeney from Sports Illustrated will join us to talk some college basketball. At 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Now, during what's trending, there are a couple of topics I do want to get to that are like real topics, but also, Zach, tomorrow's the 4th of July, and so I want to pose this, maybe let y'all think about it. I want the listeners to text in what they think as well, and we might ask our guests as well. Tomorrow's 4th of July. As tradition, we've got the Nathan's hot dog eating contest tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mid-morning, around noonish. So 10 minutes for the hot dog eating contest. How many hot dogs do you think you could eat in that 10 minutes? Don't answer right now. We'll talk about it at 5:30. But anybody that wants to text in, let us know how many hot dogs you think you can eat. Now, I've floated it out there to some people. Connor and I were talking about it earlier, and John and I were talking about it earlier. I've gotten a lot of questions about it. Are we dunking the buns?
bun?
Up
Yeah.
to you. Condiments. I said if you want condiments, you got to put it on yourself. We're not having like the pre.
Not gonna have
we're not
the mustard,
no,
the mustard
they're not going to
squiggly
bring
lines
you
on there. or
the
anything?
plate, and it's going to have mustard already on it. If you want condiments, you got to put it on there yourselves. In my opinion.
Okay.
It's your decision, I guess. It's what you think you can eat. So text those in. Text anything else in to the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. Love to know what y'all think y'all can do in the hot dogging contest. Our guy Joey Chestnut's not going to be there tomorrow, which that's a shame.
Yeah, he got banned
for being a partnering with a vegan company, I believe. So didn't know those were really competitors. Zach, you're a vegan. I don't think vegetarian. Different. I'm sorry. Forgive me. So I don't think there's much crossover in the markets of vegetarians and regular hot dog consumers, right? Like,
No.
so I didn't think it'd be a
there's
problem.
not a lot of crossover.
I didn't think so. So
You're not catching vegetarians on Nathan's
No.
hot dog eating contest.
Not at all.
No.
So we'll bring that up back at 5:30. But I am curious some of our guests what they think about that as well. Let me remind you though, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer is here and it's time to party. 24-foot above ground pools for $19.99. Family Leisure also has so many deals going on right now, like all ladders, filter systems, and robotic cleaners, 20% off. Select in-stock patio furniture, up to 50% off. Play gyms, up to $1,000 off, and patio umbrellas, 20% off. Also, 4-person hot tubs, only $29.99.99. And don't forget about the discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while supplies last. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, Zach, my top story of the day, it's got to be, and it's been pretty consistent all week, it's got to be NBA free agency with everything that's going on. It seems like I said, today has been maybe a little slower than Monday and yesterday, but we still have a lot of news. For today, I guess we could say, LeBron James, he's been the biggest news today with his new deal, 2-year, $104 million max deal to return to the Lakers. Now, that second year is a player option, so we talked about this earlier, Zach. I think we'll have the same thing that we saw this year with LeBron, where he plays this year, he declines that player option. Maybe he retires. Maybe this is the last year of LeBron, or maybe he negotiates another deal. Maybe he says, I'll stick with this deal and play it out, and maybe after the following year, that second year, maybe he calls it quits. We also learned more specifics for his son, Bronny. He agreed to a 4-year deal worth $7.9 million with a team option in the 4th season. Bronny is obviously going to be one of the most talked about rookies this season, even though I don't know how much he'll play with the Los Angeles Lakers this year. He was introduced yesterday evening with Dalton Connect, and I was really interested in what he had to say about himself, what J.J. Redick had to say about him. I want to get to that later. When we get to NBA free agency, I want to kind of talk about some of the things that both he and J.J. Redick said yesterday, as well as Dalton Connect, who I'm very excited to see what he can do in that system now that J.J. Redick is the head coach. There's still some good names out there on the market, but Brett and I were talking about it yesterday. It felt like there were high-end guys. It felt like there were kind of those lower deal guys. It felt like the middle, though, there wasn't much in the middle. And I think we're continuing to see that today in free agency. So we'll see if we get some deals later on in the afternoon. But so far, it's been a quiet day. You got a top story, Zach?
Oh, no, I don't have a top story.
It's okay. Hey, it's all right. I failed to mention it to you.
I don't have a top
all
story.
Right.
See, Brian, you got to let me know, man.
That's on me.
Like, I'm trying to give the people what they want.
It's been a busy day, Zach.
Let the people give me what they want.
I apologize, Zach. So, how about just ditto? You agree with my top story?
Yeah, I love it.
Let's get to the top story.
Let's do it.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, and we might circle back to this a little bit later, but I thought it was really interesting. Jonah Dillon over at the Commercial Appeal, he covers Tiger football, does a great job over there. He did an interview with new AAC Commissioner Tim Pernetti, that was posted earlier today over at the Commercial Appeal. And one of the biggest questions in that story was about Memphis and the AAC and maybe them leaving the AAC to go join another conference. He was asked specifically about Dr. Ed Scott in his introductory press conference, talking specifically about conferences like the ACC and the Big 12. And I really liked Tim Pernetti's response about it. Here's what he had to say, quote, I told him, talking about Ed Scott, that on the phone. I said, I expect that'll be the first question you get. I think he handled it really well. The thing about conference expansion is it doesn't need to be a dirty word. People can talk about it more openly and freely. Like, let's not pretend that it's not out there hanging over our heads all the time. I think every conference in America is dealing with this sort of thing and wondering what's going on in the heads of their existing members. what's going on in the heads of the people that have the opportunity and what they will do to create it. The opportunity really is this. Memphis has been a tremendous member of the American Athletic Conference. The conference has been a platform that has really given them the opportunity for growth and success. But as far as what else is out there, all I can tell you is we're going to focus on what we can control. So then Jonah followed up by asking him, is it frustrating to have a school in the conference that's publicly expressed the interest in leaving? Because I've seen that a lot after Dr. Ed Scott has said that when Florida State has been out there about wanting to leave the ACC. Like, some people are saying, it's kind of risky to say. Like, you don't want to get on the bad side of your conference, especially if you're a team like Memphis, where, who knows what's out there, and you're kind of waiting on those other conferences to say, hey, we want you to come to us. So I thought this was a good question. I liked, again, Pernetti's response. Here's what he had to say. I, for one, encourage people being open about it. I think that it's healthier for everyone to be open about it and discuss it in the way that even Ed did in his first press conference. It doesn't need to be something that everybody knows is going on in the background, but nobody's discussing or pretending it doesn't exist. But for us, we can't get distracted by anything we don't control. We have to focus on the things we do control. So I really liked his answers about it, and very honest about, like, hey, that's going on everywhere, and especially at the group of 5 level. Like, I think every team wants to better themselves and get in a better conference. And so the openness about, hey, like, this is something that's going on. We're fine with it. We want Memphis in our conference, but like, it's okay to be truthful and open about your desire to be somewhere else.
And he mentioned Ed Scott, the AD for the Tigers. Can you paraphrase what Scott said?
Yeah, so basically, Ed Scott, during his actual press conference, kind of said that one of the things that he was going to do is putting the Tigers in a position to get into one of these power conferences. And then after his actual press conference, they kind of did a breakaway interview with the media. And he said, like, point blank, ACC, Big 12 are 2 conferences that he's looking at, and he's trying to have those conversations with people to put Memphis in a spot that they will be a team that's wanted if those 2 conferences decide to expand again. So, I mean, that first press conference, he was very honest about, like, that's one of our goals, is trying to get in one of these power conferences.
Yeah, and obviously the bigger the conference, the more money you get. Sure. And Memphis has literally been knocking on the doorstep every single year, trying to get into that next step. So
we'll have to see. But I thought it was, what do people say, refreshing, the honesty from Tim Pernetti about what some of these teams might have going on behind the scenes about getting to a bigger conference. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we're talking college football with Max Chadwick from PFF.
Cruiser styling packed with modern innovations, riders of all skill levels choose a Honda Rebel. Incredible motorcycles with a stripped-down style and a full package of features. Both the 300 and the 500 offer compact power inside a lightweight frame. Combined with a low slim seat, the Rebel is easy to start on. And with new colors for this year, they are impossible to ignore. Go to DeSoto Honda to check out the 2023 Honda Rebels. Cruisers with timeless style and performance to enjoy every second. Use the street as a racetrack with the law of the
Women here in Memphis are wearing bigger, better quality diamonds and some amazing designer rings thanks to the arrival of Genesis Diamonds. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis came on the scene here last year and shook up the jewelry world big time with rock-bottom prices on diamonds, a selection that's like 20 times ordinary stores, designer rings you can't find anywhere else, and guarantees and warranties that are the strongest in America. A relaxed, no-pressure, laid-back experience with no commission salespeople. Everybody here is loving what Genesis is doing. Whether you want a lab-grown lab-grown diamond or a natural diamond, Genesis will easily beat anyone else's price. The owner is a former diamond wholesaler, and Genesis has cornered the market on the world's most acclaimed designer rings. They have all the top 10 designers in the bridal world, thousands of handcrafted rings made by the premier designers. For whatever special occasion you have coming up, don't go to the old-fashioned stores for the same old, same old. Discover the store that's raised the bar in quality, selection, and value. Prepare to be blown away. Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
All 650 acquisition fee, Telluride RG 510849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey Jeff, I hear you've got the Kia Summer Sticker Sales event going on right now at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Give me some scoop.
Randy, the scoop is I'm ready to put you in a new Kia for less. 2024 Kia Forte LXS 41 MPG Highway, $199 a month, $34.99 due at signing. How about a 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus 0% for 48 months on 2024 EV9. And every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or online anytime. KiaMountMoriah.com.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stacks, Norsworthy, and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Zach with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some college football, Max Chadwick, the college football analyst from Pro Football Focus. He joins us now. Go give him a follow on Twitter at Max Chadwick CFB. Max, thanks so much for joining us. We're getting closer and closer to the regular season, so I got to start off. I saw over on Pro Football Focus, you've helped out and have gone through previews for all of the SEC teams. So let's start with the SEC. What team do you think could surprise people this year in the SEC? And on the other side, who do you think's in for a disappointing season?
Oh, good question. Thanks for having me on again, guys. I think as for a team that gets surprised, I don't know if they're really surprised considering everyone really thinks they're really good, but I think Ole Miss is a top 5 team in the country right now, so I think Ole Miss is going to be a really, really good team, and I would probably rank them number 4 in my ranking overall of all the teams in the country, so I think they are going to be a really good team. So I don't know how much of a surprise they would actually be, but I think another school like Kentucky could surprise some people this year. I think Kentucky has a really, really good defense, and they have a really good receiving core. The question is, can Brock Vandegrift, their new quarterback, who's been on the bench at Georgia for 3 years, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, can he live up to that 5-star hype? Because if he can, Kentucky can surprise a lot of people next year, but if not, then it could be a rough year for them. But I think Kentucky, Texas A&M is another school that I think could surprise a lot of people next year, be a pretty good team. It's a pretty, as always, it's a great SEC that we have next year. And then sort of disappointing, I'm trying to think of a team that would disappoint right now. I think a team like Oklahoma might go like 8-4 next year. I think they might lose a few games. They got a lot of new pieces in that team, a new quarterback, a brand new offensive line as well. So I think Oklahoma could be one of those disappointing teams next year in the SEC.
I like that. I like both those answers. Speaking of Oklahoma, they just went out and extended Brent Venables a couple weeks ago. I've heard some people say maybe too early for him, or maybe kind of came as a surprise. Definitely surprised me when I saw it. What did you think about the decision for Oklahoma to extend him? And did you think it was maybe a little early, or do you think with this team going into the SEC, a 10-win team last year, that feels like nobody's really talking about them as a team that won 10 games last year? Do you think it was well deserved for him?
I don't hate it. I think it was a little early. I probably would have waited until I saw how he fared in the SEC first before handing out a major extension like that. But he did do a great job last year. Obviously, his first year at Oklahoma was kind of a train wreck. In fact, it was Oklahoma's first losing season of the 21st century. Mm-hmm. But he really, like I said, he really turned it around last year, and they did a great job last year. And we're like a top 15 team in the country, right? We're the only team besides Washington to beat Texas last year. So I think he's a really solid coach. I just probably would have waited until he played in a most difficult conference in America to see how he fares first before handing out a big extension. But I don't necessarily hate it. I think he's a really good coach, and I don't think he's on the hot seat anytime soon or anything like that. But I probably would have waited a little bit before handing out an extension like that.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned Ole Miss as a team that could surprise, but you're right. Kind of, nationally, a lot of people very high on Ole Miss this year. I think everybody pretty much unanimously says Carson Beck is the best quarterback in college football, and is probably going to be the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft next year. But Jackson Dart, where does he rank nationally in the SEC with Carson Beck? I saw Phil Steele put out his magazine and did the draft prospects for this upcoming season, had Jackson Dart second in terms of quarterbacks in this year's class. What do you view Jackson Dart as, and where does he rank around the guy that I've heard a lot of people say is going to be the best, Carson Beck?
I don't agree with Phil in that. I think Phil does a great job. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's anything close to the second best quarterback in the draft next year. As of right now, I think you got to keep in mind the Lane Kiffin offense makes it really easy on the quarterback to play in it. So he's very protected in that offense. Now, I do think he's a top 10 quarterback in the country. I think I ranked him 6th in my quarterback rankings, so I think he's right outside the top 5 in America. And I think there are a few SEC quarterbacks I think are better than him, like Carson Beck, like you mentioned, the best quarterback in the country. Jalen Moreau, I'd put above him as well, and I'd also put Quinn Ewers above Jackson Dart too. So I think he's like the 4th best quarterback in the SEC and a 6th best quarterback overall. Again, I like him a lot. I think he's got good mobility. He's really solid all the way around. Nothing really elite in his game, but also he's just a really good overall quarterback. But I don't think he's the second best quarterback in the draft. It is a wide open quarterback class, so maybe he can become that with a big year. And I do think he'll have a big year next year. But I think that Ole Miss offense protects quarterbacks so much that it makes their pro evaluation very difficult, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of another conference expanding, the Big Ten welcoming USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon. Like for years, in my eyes, it's always been is either Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State's conference every single year. How confident are the 4 new teams, new programs coming into the Big Ten? Can they come in and change the balance of power? You could say.
I think 2 of them are going to struggle next year. I think UCLA is in for a rough year next year. They have a lot of guys leaving that program, including Chip Kelly, the head coach. So I think UCLA is by far the 4th out of those 4 teams. I put Washington 3rd. They lost so much on both sides of the ball, including, again, like their head coach and Kalen DeBoer leaving as well. So Washington, I think, is going to be more of a 7-5 team next year. I think USC is a top 20 team in the country, so they could certainly compete in the Big Ten next year, but they did lose a lot, like Caleb Williams. Mm-hmm. The only school I think could really shake it up next year and join the elites of the elite is Oregon. I think Oregon right now is the second best team in the Big Ten, and I put them right behind Ohio State nationally. I think Oregon and Ohio State are 2 of the top 3 teams in the country, and I honestly think Oregon, Georgia, and Ohio State, those are my top 3. I probably say those 3 are above pretty much head and shoulders above everyone else in college football right now. So I think Oregon is right there. I think they have the best offense in America, and they have a really, really good defense, too. So, yeah, I think Oregon certainly could be competing for a Big Ten title next year. In fact, I think it'll be Ohio State-Oregon in the Big Ten championship game next year, and we'll see who can win that game. And I think they play each other in October. It's probably the biggest game of the year, in my opinion. And we could see 2 Ohio State-Oregon games, honestly.
Max Chadwick joins us from Pro Football Focus, where he covers college football. I'm curious, Max, have you attempted to predict your college football playoff yet, or are you still kind of waiting?
I've done a rough outline. We're going to do our final predictions in August, but I do have a rough outline of who I think I'll be picking right now. So, yeah, it's still a wild way to go before we can get to that point, but I do have some of the teams if you want to know about them.
Where are the Memphis Tigers in that fold in terms of the Group of 5 spot?
I haven't decided if I'm going to pick them in the Group of 5 just yet. I think they certainly are one of the top 3 contenders. I think there's a pretty clear top 3 in the Group of 5 for the playoff spot. I think Liberty, who would have been the Group of 5 team last year, they still have a lot of talent on that team. So I think Liberty is definitely up there. Memphis is up there as the best American Athletic Conference team, and the AAC is the best non-Power 4 conference, right? So whoever wins the AAC has a great shot at making it. And then I think the other one is probably Boise State. I think Boise State has a lot of talent, too. Ashton Jinty is one of the best running backs in the country. They have a 5-star quarterback in Malachi Nelson transferring in there. So I think those are the 3 right now. I haven't decided which of those 3 I'm going to pick yet, but Memphis certainly is in that mix for sure.
I can't remember what the committee said about why they made why they didn't. I'm not sure. Like, what was the reasoning for them to keep Florida State out of the top 4? Do you remember what it was? Why they kept Florida State out?
Yeah, I think really it's just the Jordan Travis injury, which very much I disagreed with that immensely. I think that is just an insult to competition. If you say, hey, even though you're undefeated, and even though an undefeated Power 5 team has never been left out, just because one guy goes down, that we don't think you're worthy of it anymore. I think that was a sham, honestly. And I think the only reason why it happened was because if it didn't happen, Alabama would have been left out, and if that happens, that means no SEC team would have been in the playoff, which I personally last year would have been okay with, but I know the committee and the nation wouldn't have been very happy with no SEC in the college football playoff. So, I think that's the Jordan Travis injury is basically the biggest reason why Florida State was left out last year.
And the reason why I want to bring that up briefly. So, how can this upcoming year, how can we differentiate between splash teams with our eyes versus the analyst, why am I drawing a blank? The mathematics, the analysis, everything, all the advanced metrics.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting next year, right? I think it'll be really thankfully, we're never seeing an undefeated Power 4 team ever get left out again. But I do think there's going to be a lot of interesting conversations between, say, a 9-3 SEC team versus a 10-2 ACC team, right? That's going to be a really interesting conversation that we're going to have. I think 8-4, I don't think, even an SEC or Big Ten team going 8-4, I don't think that'll be enough to get in. But I do think, for example, last year, every Power 5 team that went 10-2 last year, besides Oklahoma, would have been in the college football playoff. So basically, just going off purely last year, if you go 10-2, you're most likely going to be able to get in. But now with the whole realignment and how much better the Big Ten and SEC are than everyone else, even more so than previous years, it's going to be an interesting conversation of, like I said, a 10-2 ACC or Big 12 team versus a 9-3 Big Ten or SEC team. That's going to be really interesting in my opinion.
You mentioned Liberty as a team in there for the Group of 5. They were the Group of 5 representative last year in the New Year's 6 games. But I remember that conversation around Selection Day about, I think it was SMU who had won the American, had a good season, had a pretty good record, and people were trying to argue, SMU looks like a better team. They've certainly had a tougher schedule, but you've got Liberty who's undefeated, but they've played the weakest schedule in college football. This year, Liberty comes in again with the weakest schedule in college football. If, say, Memphis goes through the season and they're a little dinged up, maybe a loss to Florida State, maybe a loss in conference, but they come out as the winner of the American Athletic Conference, and you've got, like last year, a Liberty team sitting there undefeated but with a poor strength of schedule. Will last year's results against Oregon factor in any in that decision for the committee, do you think?
I don't think it should. I think you got to judge every team based purely off what they did that season. It will be an interesting conversation, though, right? Because if Memphis goes 11 or 12-1, wins the American, and only loses to Florida State, that might be good enough to get in over. And that probably should be good enough to get in over a 13-0 Liberty. So I think that'll be really an interesting conversation. But if Memphis loses twice and Liberty goes undefeated, I don't think that'll be enough for Memphis to jump them. So I think it's a one loss. If they only lose once, that is a much more interesting conversation. But I think Liberty, if they go undefeated, now if Liberty loses a game, they most likely are out because I just don't think they're going to be able to get in with that schedule, like you said. But if they go undefeated and an American team has 2 losses, I think Liberty probably would get the nod, and obviously it depends on what other teams do in the other Group of 5 conferences. But I think Liberty would probably get a nod over a 2-loss Memphis team, for example.
Yeah. So, Max, last thing for you. Tomorrow's the 4th of July. We've kind of discussed this as a group. Hot dog eating contest, Nathan's, they do it up big. 10 minutes on the clock. How many hot dogs would you be able to finish?
Oh, God, 10 minutes. I've tried to lose some weight recently, so it's probably a lot less than I used to be able to. I've been probably, say, 10 minutes. Maybe like 8 to 10 dogs. Wow. I could probably do like one per minute.
Wow.
That actually might be a lot, honestly. I'm thinking about it, but I think I don't know if I don't eat anything all day, I could maybe do 8 to 10 dogs in 10 minutes, maybe.
Could you do the dunking the bread in the water dogs? Could you do that?
I think that'd make it worse.
Yeah.
I know it's supposed to help you, and that's what all the pros do. But it just looks so disgusting when you do it that way. That might make me sick if I do that, honestly. So I probably wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's not a fun visual at all. Well, Max, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the holiday tomorrow, and let's do this again soon before the season starts.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Max. Max Chadwick joining us from Pro Football Focus to discuss college football and what to expect this season. 8 to 9 dogs.
That's
Look,
a lot.
I want to wait, and I want to talk about it during What's Trending, but I think that's more than I thought I'd be able to do. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask John and Kevin what they think.
Yeah. I've been to Coney Island when I went to New York.
Have you really?
Yeah, New York. Just not for the Nathan's.
You didn't see any hot dog?
No. But we went to Coney Island.
Good time?
Went through the amusement park.
That's right, the amusement park.
Yeah, you forgot about that part.
Yeah, I just thought it was everybody was just eating hot dogs.
Everybody just go to Coney Island just for a hot dog. Huh. But no, it was like, oh, okay, so this is where everybody just shove a bunch of glizzies in their faces, man. Like that's
loses their mind on the 4th of July. Well, and that's the problem. I know we need to get to a break, but ever since the glizzy thing became a thing, I mean, then they started using it in their broadcast. Yeah, like, oh, who's gonna win the glizzy challenge? I'm like, all right, okay, all right, let's stop that.
Let's have some dignity. Yeah,
let's not make that a thing. So let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little baseball. No day baseball today, which is a little rare on a Wednesday, but we did have a trade earlier today between the Brewers and the Rays. We'll talk about that and more next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and great quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
I got him on the line, Jason, the main man Marshall, and he's ready to rock and gossip Volkswagen on the pike.
Randy, it's vacation time, so take the road wherever it leads you with 42 miles per gallon on the highway in a brand new 2023 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE for only $249 a month.
That's an awesome deal at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. And Jason, my main man Marshall, everybody in Memphis knows when it comes to a great deal, it's all about choices.
Take your pick from 2024 Tiguan S front-wheel drive or a 2024 Taos SE for only $279.28 a month, plus 0% for 60 months on all new 24 Taos. And you know my motto, make me an offer, because nothing reasonable will be refused.
Ask for Jason, the main man Marshall, at Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, online, GossettVWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
The wait is over. Dell Technologies Black Friday and July deals are live. Check out incredible savings on select laptops and more, like the XPS 15, powered by Intel Core processors. The XPS 15 brings you the perfect balance of power and portability, plus stellar visuals and immersive sound. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics, plus free shipping on everything. Don't miss out on Black Friday and July savings at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Take your basketball shooting and passing skills to new levels at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge science and technology and provides instant objective feedback with actual hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching that will help make you the best basketball player on any court. You've heard about Shoot 360 in Collierville. Well, coming this July, Shoot 360 will have another bigger location in Cordova. Shoot 360 in Collierville and soon in Cordova will transition from 3- and 6-month memberships to a monthly membership model. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent or NBA player, all skill levels use the Shoot 360 basketball program to learn proper shooting techniques, improve their fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge. Shoot 360 Memphis. Call them today at 901-316-5500. That's 316-5500. Or visit them at 85 Market Center Drive in Collierville. And coming in July to Cordova. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
I've got him on the line, rockin' Ronnie Smith. And Ronnie, I hear it's the Make Christmas Summer event going on now at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Field.
That's right, Randy. I've got 2024 Ram 1500 Tradesman Quad Cab 4-wheel drive, $649 a month.
Man, that is awesome. What else you got, Ronnie?
2024 Jeep Gladiator Sport 4-wheel drive, $659 a month.
That's a hot deal on Gladiator Sport. What else you got?
Get super power in a 2023 Charger RT Skypack, $698 a month. That's $8,600 off MSRP.
So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Field on the Pike. Or shop online anytime at GossettMotorCars.com. 5,000 down. Ram RN 194282 MSRP 48,595. Jeep RL 116172 MSRP 51,690. Charger PH 612877 MSRP 55,110. Price includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. Payments include PF 695. All exclude tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Red Star Sports Movie and Brian Davis.
No Major League Baseball day games today, which I think is kind of a shame, which I think I understand. I'm guessing most people, or most teams, are doing fireworks tonight for the 4th of July because tomorrow a ton of teams do day games on the 4th of July. So I'm guessing a lot of fireworks tonight, and that's probably why we don't have day games. But I do hate it because that's like one of the fun things about Wednesday is that you can watch Major League Baseball all day, and we don't get that today. But we did have a big trade earlier this afternoon, or excuse me, earlier this morning. The Brewers acquired Aaron Savale in a trade with the Rays for infield prospect Gregory Berrios, who's the number 21 prospect in Milwaukee's top 30 prospects. Savale hadn't really been good this year, 2-6 with a 5.07 ERA, but he was really good in Cleveland before the trade, so maybe a change of scenery. Obviously, Milwaukee has been playing better than the Rays this season, so maybe you get some better defense around you, maybe some more run production around you, and maybe you can get back to what you were doing a couple years ago with Cleveland. So I thought that trade was interesting today. Zach, you during the break were talking about Aaron Judge, who's been playing really well lately for the Yankees, playing really well, and also sheriff duty in the dugout. You see him telling Marcus Stroman.
Yeah,
we don't do that here. We don't do that with the Yankees here.
Yeah,
I don't think the cough button works.
It doesn't.
No, I don't think. Try to cough again. Turn it. Hold it and try to cough again.
No, it doesn't. That's unfortunate. But yeah, like Judge, I mean, he's been on one. Like the month of June was
awesome.
his.
Yeah.
Was his. I think he's halfway to 60, if not halfway to 60, on pace for 70. Could be breaking his own record again.
I mean, that'd be crazy. Hey, he's special, and now they got Juan Soto out there, and he's doing his thing.
Yeah,
and, so Yankees.
Look
deadly.
I think outside of the pitching, because it's still to be determined. I think
Well, pitching's been good. I mean,
it's been solid. It hasn't been as good the last couple of weeks.
That's true.
But I think outside of the pitching, for as of right now, I think this is the most complete Yankees team I have seen in a while.
Well, and speaking of pitching, I think got some good pitchers tonight in Major League Baseball. Like I mentioned, the first games start at 5:40. But I mean, you just mentioned the Yankees. Carlos Rodon, who's kind of been up and down this year, he's going tonight. Blanco for the Astros, Ronel Blanco, he's going tonight. Chris Sale for the Braves, Shota Imanaga for the Cubs. So Logan Gilbert for the for the Mariners. So like, I mean, tonight, if you like pitching, Gavin Stone, young guy for the Dodgers, been throwing the ball really well. I mean, if you like pitching, tonight's a good night to watch some good pitchers take the mound.
Yeah, you just named 3 of my fantasy players.
Oh, you're a big fantasy baseball guy.
Off rip. Yeah, I love it.
I haven't played fantasy baseball in a couple of years. It's a lot. Fantasy baseball's a lot. I mean, you can ask Connor. I'm terrible when it comes to fantasy football. I always forget to set my lineup. It'll be Thursday, and
well, the thing is, like, football is very week to week. So if you wait until I say Wednesday, because I know Thursday kind of gets kind of tricky because of Thursday night football.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, if you wait till like I say, oh man, like it's early Thursday morning, it's like, oh man, I forgot to set my lineup. You could do that pretty quickly.
Well, but I mean, for me, it's like it's a tale as old as time where I wake up on a Friday morning, and I'm like, oh man, Sunday's right around the corner. Let me go set my lineup.
Right.
And then I've got like some dude on my bench that's, scored 21 points, and he's on the bench because I forgot that he was playing on Thursday.
That's why you need to change your due date in your mind.
Man, it's a struggle. And I see what you're saying. Like, I feel like at some point, like, fantasy football is probably harder because it's like so spread out. You'll forget about it on a week-to-week basis, where fantasy baseball is like every day that's something you have to do. But I think that's almost tougher because now I got to remember every morning.
Every morning
I need to set my lineup.
Check the team. Make sure you got your right players in.
A lot more games than fantasy baseball.
It is. It's a grind. Right now, it's an endurance season.
Sure is.
That's it. But
hey, good team though.
But look, your boy's sitting in third, so that's all that matters.
Good. That's an improvement, right? Were you in fourth?
No.
A couple weeks ago, you've been in third.
I've been in third for a few weeks.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, the squad is loaded, man. Like,
that's good.
Like, you see my team. We're
pretty
loaded.
You got a good team, so I might have to get back into fantasy baseball. I think I'm gonna do fantasy football. I don't think I did fantasy football last year. I did fantasy hockey, and a buddy of mine was like, "Hey, dude, play fantasy hockey." I mean, he's a big hockey guy.
Yeah.
So he's like, "We need another guy that can play." I like hockey. I'm not familiar with all the players, so like I was kind of out on that early.
I think I won the first year.
Oh, you play fantasy hockey too?
At one, yeah. I don't
play fantasy everything.
That's because the people that I'm in the fantasy group wanted to do hockey, so I was like,
so you do like a group for everything? Like it's the same people for all of your leagues. Smart. I like that. Wish I could get a group.
Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. That is simple. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to a break. And when we come back, talking a lot of golf with John Goen from Timber Truss.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. Add in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Five Ash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
When you've got real work to do, Metal Supermarkets will help you get it done fast. With a huge variety of metals in stock, we can help no matter what job comes your way. And we cut the size. Because just like taxes and BS, we think metal is better than cut. Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for metal. Find a store or shop online at metalsupermarkets.com.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together. Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan absolutely loves her Genesis diamond ring.
I got so many compliments as soon as I got the ring, and continue to get compliments on it. It looks really pretty on my finger.
Kylie's husband Jay heard folks in the music industry raving about Genesis, and he also did a lot of homework on his own.
When it came to finding the ring, he took it very seriously. He did all the research. I think he knows more about diamonds than any man in the entire world. And that's how he landed on Genesis. He just knew it.
Jay picked out a stunning, flawless, pear-shaped diamond in an elegant setting. Got the value price Genesis is known for. Tell everyone they knew about the amazing Genesis experience.
When you walk into Genesis, you can just feel the happiness. You know that they're helping find something that symbolizes the love that you have for your partner, and you can feel that as soon as you walk through the door.
Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Wrapping up the earlier wreck, 40 westbound near White Station. One car flipped a little bit earlier. Again, it's in its cleanup stages. Traffic's on the increase out here at times on 240 east from Mill Branch, all the way out to 385 Billmorris Parkway. Lots of radar over in Arkansas. This afternoon down I-40 towards Forest City. Be careful. Hey, Havenly Showers is your curbless shower specialist. Transform your bathroom with a tub to curbless shower conversions. Log on to havenlyshowers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Zach with you on this Wednesday afternoon, the new 4th of July Eve. Almost a New Year's Eve, but no, 4th of July Eve here. I know a lot of people celebrating tomorrow. A lot of people going out to the golf course, I'm sure, this week. So a perfect person to bring on John Goen, who joins us every single Wednesday to talk some golf and make some picks. He joins us now from Timber Trust Golf. John, thanks so much for joining us. How are things this week down at Timber Trust?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, no, things are good. To your point, it's been a kind of a really busy week. I don't know whether folks are kind of with the holiday falling where it falls, maybe trying to squeeze in a little bit more time off during this holiday week or what. But yeah, no, it's been really busy this week. So we've just been kind of working around everything and just kind of doing our normal stuff. So no complaints. Looking maybe forward to a little bit of rain. I think maybe Friday. Kind of cool things off. It looks like the weather kind of changes quite a bit for the weekend. So the weekend looks great. I mean, 89 Saturday, 91 Sunday compared to where we're at right now with these heat advisories and everything. So hopefully this kind of holds out, and then we kind of get to that time of the year for really all the golf courses in the area. We will do our annual kind of core aerification on Monday. We'll be closed Monday, reopen Tuesday. Obviously, we'll do some discounted rates Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then kind of go back to normal come Saturday. But busy week next week, just mainly golf course maintenance related and kind of normal agronomic practices for, like I said, pretty much everybody around the area. It's that time of year. I think we all try to push to right after the 4th of July and then kind of let the greens take a breath of fresh air and hopefully be able to get some water down there and deeper into the roots and stuff like that. So, but happy with the way the golf course is right now. I mean, definitely on the firmer side with the dry and the heat and everything. But again, should be a great week. We've got just normal play tomorrow. Obviously, we'll have our American flags out on all of the flag sticks. But tomorrow should be a lot of fun. And then super busy Friday and definitely Saturday and Sunday are filling up rather quickly. So, but like I said, with the temperature drop, the weekend should be pretty nice. I see some kind of upper 60s and stuff for lows. So should be a great weekend.
Yeah, that'll be nice. What was it, Monday, where it was kind of similar to that in terms of weather? And I kind of went outside after our show was done at 6 o'clock. I was like, man, has it felt this good all day? And it was like in the low 80s or something like that as a high. So I
mean, Tuesday morning driving to the golf course, it was like 64. I'm like, I mean, I needed a pullover for a little bit. Just, we've been so warm. I hate to say it, your body kind of acclimates to the warmer weather, so you get a mid-60s where you normally kind of be, hey, this is great. You're like, man, this is a little chilly.
It's a little chilly out here. That's right. So I was going to ask you, but you already said, so y'all are open tomorrow. What does a usual 4th of July week look like for y'all? And I mean, do y'all have to bring in extra staff? I mean, I'm sure most weeks around the 4th of July, most years, extremely busy, I would suppose.
Well, I mean, look, realistically nowadays, I mean, most days are kind of a carbon copy of each other. So no, we really don't do anything any different. Obviously you do have some folks that are trying to take the holiday and stuff with their family. So, staffing does become at times a little bit of a challenge, but for the most part, it's really not, it's not different than any other day from our perspective. We just kind of do some celebratory things, decorated the clubhouse and like I said, we'll put the American flags out on the flag sticks tomorrow on the golf course on all 18 holes. And, then of course on the way home, we sneak across to the fireworks stand right across the street from the golf course and load up. And, we have a good time.
Yeah. So I'm curious because looking at this week's John Deere Classic, the guys that are participating, last week we talked about it as well with the Rocket Mortgage up in Detroit. What do you make of these tournaments where it's kind of, dead of summer and you get these tournaments where I think last week we talked about it, I think only 2 or 3 guys in the top 25 of the OWGR rankings. This week I think only 1 guy inside the top 25. That top-end talent is not participating. We're not seeing Scotty Scheffler out here. We're not seeing Rory McIlroy out here. What do you make of these couple tournaments before we get to the Open where it isn't that high level? How do you go about watching those? Do you still enjoy those like the rest? How is it for you viewing wise? Let's face it. The guys are in kind of that summer swoon prior to the last major. They've gone through a really big stretch. If you think about it, you had the U.S. Open, you had a couple of elevated events, around that. So some of these guys have been playing 3-4 weeks in a row, which is kind of out of their norm. So they take a couple of weeks, spend it around family and friends and whatever else, and then really come next week as you get ready for you get the Scottish Open, and then you go into the Open, championship to kind of, give yourself that 2-week buffer. Kind of, the bigger names will go over, for the Scottish, get time change acclimated and everything else, and then they'll kind of be over there for 2 weeks as you get ready for the Open championship. So, it seems to happen every single year. Sure. It's nothing out of the norm, I feel, and I wouldn't say it's unfortunate. It's bound to happen. It's just like, I think these events, to your point of viewing, they're very similar to the early start of the wraparound season. You get through the Tour Championship, and with football season and everything else, nobody's watching golf as the Tour season kicks off in September, October. That's right.
We're not even paying attention to it, and I think clearly, these last couple of weeks. Last week was an interesting event. Obviously to have Akshay Bhatia, 3-putt the last hole to kind of give the golf tournament away.
That was my guy, John.
I thought I remembered that. You kind of got so you had some decent theater last week. My guy Cam Young breaking his driver on 14 because he's so sick and tired of hitting it left.
Yeah.
Same driver he shot 59 with up at River Highlands. But I think these things are all bound to happen. They've gone through, as we've talked about, a pretty big stretch, but not real interesting golf to watch here these next couple of weeks. I remember years and years ago, we really affectionately called the John Deere Classic the Steve Stricker / Zach Johnson Classic, because you could basically pick those guys every single year. One of them was going to win it there for a long stretch of time. So, TPC Deere runs an interesting little golf course. There's going to probably be some really low scores. You're going to need to shoot, have quite a few birdies. They've got, some real reachable holes kind of coming in, and the 18th hole in particular, if it's firm and fast, can definitely kind of represent some challenges for those guys trying to potentially either get their first win or win on tour again.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned Akshay Bhatia, who looked good all weekend, and then Sunday, really, a lot of people have been talking about 18, but there were several holes that he did not take advantage of putting wise, and he's one of those guys with the long kind of broomstick putter that you don't see as much anymore since PGA changed the rules on how you could use it. I've heard some people, Brett said it earlier this week on Monday when we were talking about it, that used to kind of be the sign of you're a bad putter if you use one of those to putt. How do you view that type of putter and guys that use it on the tour?
Well, I mean, I think that even though you can't anchor anymore, having that little bit longer putter, tends to help. I mean, some of the guys, we all talk about pendulum motions and strokes. There's clearly something, whether it's the weight of the head, the length, the head size potentially itself, things along those lines that guys must see something better in that putting stroke than what they see out of a traditional, but you see this, you see it a lot right now. Clearly for some time you've got guys like Matt Kuchar, obviously Bryson DeChambeau, and others that arm lock it. So that's been popular because it's still anchoring in a way, but you're allowed to be able to do that since it's to your arm and not to your chest or to your belly. And now these cruiser putters like Odyssey has that are over length that Ricky Fowler and others use, kind of create a bit more of that counterbalance type feel or things along those lines that help these guys putt a little bit better, but they're definitely longer shafts. So, clearly they're still pushing those boundaries with regard to length with putters. And I know that, like I said, I mean, between Ricky and can't remember whether it's Wyndham Clark, there's some other guys out there that are using that longer length kind of cruiser style head and putter that the Odyssey has out there. So, they were all the rage there for a bit. I mean, clearly Adam Scott still uses a long putter, and Bernhard Langer on the Champions Tour. Look, whatever gives you confidence at the end of the day, and that's what we all know golf is about. I mean, look, as we kind of touched on earlier, I mean, you got a guy in Cam Young that shoots 59 a week ago and, is playing well going into the final round, and all of a sudden when it starts going sideways, he loses all of his confidence, loses his patience, and, the training wheels come off as he's trying to finish his round and, breaks a driver. Mm-hmm. Granted, he did hit three wood into 17, but, clearly he was affected by how he was playing and it shook his confidence and, he struggled kind of coming in, bogeying a couple holes and cost himself some money. So, nowadays, again, as we said, I mean, it's confidence in multiple facets of your game, whether it's driver, whether you have a driver that you're really, really comfortable with, or it's a putter. And, look, I am as fickle as anybody about putters, so I completely understand and probably experiment way too much with different things from a putter perspective. So, it's all about confidence.
Yeah. Talking with John Going, owner of the Timber Trust Golf Course. John, it seemed like the Senior U.S. Open kind of had to go into a little bit of a double overtime over the weekend. I had a little rain delay, but finished up this past Monday with Robert Bland getting the win over Fujita. What do you make of his win and having to wait another day just to kind of complete one of their majors?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, so Bland is a live player. Didn't win his first PGA or a DP World Tour event, I should say, until he was 47 years old. Very, very recent. And now all of a sudden he's become all the rage. He's only been able to play in two senior events. One was the senior U.S. Open, and the other one was the senior PGA, I think, to my faint recollection. And he's won both of them. So he's won 2 majors out on the Champions Tour, but he does not have an exemption in because, of course, he's a live player, so he's got 0 status out there, and he's got a conflict with the Senior Open Championship, although he's qualified for that now because Live has an event that same weekend, so contractually he's got to go play in the Live event. So, obviously a lot of interesting things happened at Newport Country Club this week. I mean, you had a guy make back-to-back hole-in-ones with the same club and the same ball. First of all, I don't know why you're hitting. If you make the hole-in-one on the hole previous, what are you hitting the same golf ball for?
You got to tuck that one away.
I mean, and then you hit a new one and it then goes in. Now you get a couple of them, but maybe that golf ball clearly still had some luck in it, and that's why he did it. So, clearly they had some weather and everything, but it looked like a very interesting golf course. But for Bland to be able to come back, I mean, clearly Fujita had some challenges there on Monday after the weather had kind of moved through. It opened the door for a guy like Bland to be able to come back and wind up winning the golf tournament. So, but a very interesting story with him as now he kind of moves forward, and then it'll be interesting to see if we're ever able to get golf, back together again as to what his status out on the Champions Tour, because right now he's the hottest senior player in the world because he's the only 2 events he's played in have both been majors, and he's won both of them. So, very interesting story.
Yeah, that is interesting. John, before we get to golf picks, I'm curious, you said y'all were going to be doing some things, the patriotic flag sticks and stuff tomorrow for the 4th of July. Have you ever thought about putting on a hot dog eating contest at Timber Trust? And if you were in a hot dog eating contest, 10 minutes is what they do for the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. How many hot dogs do you think you could complete in 10 minutes?
Yeah, 10.
Really?
Whoa.
10 in 10 minutes.
Look, first of all, fellas, I'm not a fast eater.
I think that's
second of all, I am one of those guys. When I'm full, I am full, and I don't even think I could eat 10.
I was about to say, John, that's a dog a minute. I mean, that's a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
See, I feel like you should be faster than that. I mean, if these guys are eating however many they're eating, like 60, 70 in 10 minutes, I mean,
yes, that's true.
I mean, I don't feel like that's a lot at the end of the day. 1 a minute doesn't.
Well,
I mean, maybe to your point, maybe it's like 6 then, But still, I don't even think I'd get there because, like I said, when I'm full, I'm full.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to bloat myself out by any stretch of the imagination. So, I don't even think I would get to that number because I would be willing to bet after about 3 or 4, I'm like, I'm done. I don't need any more.
Yeah.
Especially with then you're drinking the water to help, in essence, kind of just choke it down.
You got to dunk
and dipping the bread in the water, so it basically turns into mush, which would probably want to make me throw up. There's just like a bunch of just really bad stuff around that for me that I would probably not even want to participate in it. So to your question, there is no way in this world I've ever thought about a hot dog eating contest at Timber Trust because at the end of the day, what do I want to look like? Joey Chestnut with snot running out of my nose and sloppy bread going into my mouth and trying to choke something down? I mean, just the look is just disgusting for me.
Joey Chestnut, American hero, though. I'll have to say that. All right, let's get to our golf picks. This week, the John Deere Classic at TPC Deere Run. Right now, John's still in the lead, $26 million for him. I'm right behind John. Brett is in 3rd place, and then this team of producers. You've had a lot of producers. Connor pinch hitting today for us. He'll be making the picks for, I guess we can just call it team producers at this point. So since
I agree,
the producers are in for. Well, John, you remember last time we had a team of producers? I was part of that team. We ended up winning. So maybe.
Yeah, but there's also, is there not still? And I was going to ask this question of Brett a few weeks ago, but I mean that was also during the time where you had some input from a picker, correct? Like a buddy.
I vaguely remember that. I don't.
Oh, here we go.
I don't know.
Selective
maybe I know.
memory.
It's
I don't recall back to that
he
point.
actually may or may not have become a producer and made picks.
Yeah.
See?
So
and there we go.
That might have been what. Oh yeah.
More like talking out loud, you know?
No, I'll be
Could
honest.
be?
No. It was more.
I'll be honest.
No,
me and Jay
no,
Morgan
I
would
kid
sit
you
together
not.
and make picks in the
I think the text messages went back and forth as they were like going through the show.
Maybe.
And then Bryant made the mistake of divulging the fact that he has someone helping him with his picks. Then all of a sudden, it kind of started going sideways. So then he jumped back into it on his own and kind of somewhat righted the ship. But yeah, needless to say, help with picks from the time that Bryant was a producer is what I happen to recall.
Wins a win in my book, I guess. All right, Connor, for the producers, who is your first pick for the John Deere Classic?
I wish I could go Scheffler, but Sun JM this week.
Sun JM. All right, I like that. Zach, you have Brett's picks. Who are you taking second?
We're going with Jordan Spieth.
Jordan Spieth. I like that. Okay, two guys I thought would be gone early. I'll go Sepp Straka with my third pick. John, that leaves you as our last pick in the first round.
So is it not insane that you can literally look in the power rankings on PGAtour.com and Jordan Spieth and Jason Day, neither one of them are in the power picks?
Is that right?
Wow,
I didn't even know that.
In the top 15, you're kidding. Now, granted, Jason Day hasn't played in this event since 2011.
Right.
But still, it just seems rather odd.
That is odd.
That's the case. So, with all that rambling about picks and, whatever, not that I'm taking, I guess, Jason Day either.
Wow. That's where we were going.
I know. All my rambling over nothing, which is, it just drags the program on a little bit longer. I will take Seamus Power.
All right. I like that one. All right, Connor, back around to you.
I'm going to go with Jason Day.
Okay, all right. I like it.
You talked him into it.
There you go.
Guilted him into it.
That's right. All right, who's next for Brett?
Ryan Palmer.
All right, Ryan Palmer. Okay. I didn't have that one on my list, I'll be honest. Let's see. You know what? I was almost ridiculed last week for taking Jake Knapp as my second pick last week, and he was hanging around when the weekend came around. I think this could be his weekend.
Then what happened?
Well, he kind of fell apart on Sunday, but that's not the point of the story, John. I'm going to take Jake Knapp. I think he gets it done this weekend.
The point is
No, I think that is the point of the story.
I don't know. I mean, he was around. He was there. He just couldn't finish.
All right. Very good. I will take Lucas Glover.
Lucas Glover. All right. So let's see. Connor and the producers have Sung J M and Jason Day. Brett has Jordan Spieth and Ryan Palmer. I have Sepp Straka and Jake Knapp. And John has Seamus Power and Lucas Glover. That should make for a fun weekend. John, before we let you go, tell people how they can book a tee time for Timber Trust and what you'll have coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking to book a tee time and call us, our number is 662-895-3530. You can visit us at timbertrustgolf.com. To be able to also book your tee time, you can follow us on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Timber Trust Golf Course. We post all of our upcoming events, things along those lines. The OB Open, which is our event that is in conjunction with the Open Championship, is sold out. So there is a waiting list for that. You're more than welcome to kind of hop on there. And then our event after that is going to be in August. We call it the Boondoggle. It's a 2-day event. It's a 2-person scramble. You'll play with a partner on day 1. We'll flight everything. And then day 2, you'll go out within your flight, and compete against the other folks within your flight. After that, we will have a championship shootout, so all the flight winners will compete in a shootout there at the end. So that's the 10th and 11th of August. It's a 2-day event. again, if you look at us on social media at Timber Trust Golf Course, there are links on there that you can click on and be able to register for that event. There are still some spots open for that, but it is filling up quickly. I think there's probably under 10, I think, teams available that are still left to be able to book for that event. But that should be a fun time. It's kind of our one of our rare 2-day events, but should be a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing everybody for the 4th of July weekend. Obviously, like we said, we'll have some kind of patriotic themed things going on at the golf course tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. I know our group's teeing off on the early side, but we've got a good group of guys that are going off a little before 9 o'clock tomorrow. So it should be a fun time. I hope everybody enjoys the 4th, and hopefully we will see you down in North Mississippi here over the next 4 days for some golf and just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, John, enjoy the holiday tomorrow, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, guys. Take care. Happy 4th.
Thanks, John. John Goen joining us from Timber Trust to talk golf and make some picks. You can get a little testy sometimes with the golf picks. I mean,
he's just fact checking. That's all.
That's right. Hey, we're all there to win. We're competitors at the end of the day when it comes to golf picks. We're late for a break. Let's go ahead and grab that. When we come back, we're going to talk some more NBA free agency. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Don't miss out on summer brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get 15% off a set of Brake Best Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors. Restore quality braking and improve stopping performance with parts and advice from the professional parts people. Save money now when you visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
It's the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. It's going strong at Gossett Kia on the Pike. Are you ready to ride in your new Kia with 41 MPG Highway? We Gossett! 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $34.99 to assign. How about 282 miles of EPA estimated range with new 2023 Kia EV6 Win, $249 a month. And 2024 Kia Telluride LX3, $57 a month, both $39.99 due at signing, all 24-month lease. And get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Rebates and incentives. Lease includes PF 695, 650 acquisition fee, EV6 P561 0964, MSRP 50,200, Telluride RG 510 849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Plus finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit dealer stock only.
Don't miss the Independence Day sale at Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf.
Take advantage of incredible deals like 20% off all used clubs, Orange Dot apparel starting at $29.99, and all closeout shoes and bags get an extra 20% off. Shop in store or online for great Independence Day deals. Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Get there.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We've been in pretty good shape so far on all the major outbound routes as far as delays, accidents now. There's several EMS calls out here in the last 15, 20 minutes. Still a clear shot right now on 240 East from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Billmore's Parkway. That actually looks pretty good right now as you continue on 385 out towards Collierville. Weimer's Jewelry right here in Memphis. They specialize in bridal ring purchases. They've been around since 1984. Shop local at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett, no Brett today. Ooh. Brian and Zach with you. I mean, you get into a habit, it just comes out. No Brett today. Zach, nice enough to help out and fill in for Brett. He'll be out today and on Friday. We're all out tomorrow for the 4th of July holidays, but we'll be back with you on Friday to wrap up the week. We have had a couple of small signings in the NBA free agency. Taurean Prince just signed a deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't have specifics on the deal.
None yet.
Yeah, so nothing yet for him, not even length or anything for that. But a guy, last year, about 9 points a game, 3 rebounds a game, shot about 39.6% from three. In 78 games for the Lakers. That comes from Shams Charania, who also reported that he would be on the Bucks, that he'd be signing with the Bucks. So that's another one of those kind of smaller signings. That's not a big one, but I think that could be a difference maker maybe not a difference maker, but that definitely could help that Bucks team next year.
Yeah, I mean, you add in another versatile forward that can play multiple positions.
Sure.
If he can knock down his three ball consistent, I mean, what Sean said that he shot 38%,
39.6 from three last year. That's good. I mean, I don't know on what volume, but that's good. That sounds good.
Yeah. So if you can add that guy without having to break up much of your core and get him on a vet minimum,
I love that.
You should do that.
When I heard, I mentioned it earlier, I was listening to Colin Cowherd's show earlier this afternoon, and his producer was in. I can't remember if it was him that said it or if it was a guest that said it, but basically it was what you've been saying, Zach, for a couple weeks now. I've heard you say it both on and off air, of kind of this idea that maybe big threes are out the window, and now it's the big two and good rotation pieces.
Yeah.
And he was saying the exact same thing of, they were talking about Paul George going to the 76ers and how, I guess on paper it looks good, but is that really going to work? And maybe he's talking about Clay to Dallas, one of the two. Maybe he's talking about both.
Yeah.
And how really, it's more big twos now than it is big three. And so I think this piece for Milwaukee, I think definitely helps them in terms of kind of depth around their star players.
Yeah, I mean, you can always trace it back to Milwaukee before Dame.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the Nuggets, you can say the Mavericks with Dirk and Jason Kidd and Jason Terry.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make a case that you can say that Jason Terry and Dirk were 1A and 1B, and Jason Kidd was just a super elite role player for that team.
Yeah.
You can win an NBA championship with a big two and a bunch of dudes that can play ball if they they have a role to play. Same way with Boston. You have a role to play, especially when you have Tatum and Brown that's going to handle most of the scoring. And then you just have a Drew Holiday that's willing to defend everyone.
Sure.
Derek White that can knock down big shots, can defend. Kristaps can do his job as a rim protecting big that can step out. Same way with Horford. I mean, you can win a championship.
Sure. Well, and the big twos used to kind of be the thing. I mean, you think of like Shaq and Kobe and MJ and Scotty. I mean, it used to be, and there are plenty more examples, but those are just the two biggest that come to mind.
Was it Bird and was it Havlicek?
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of examples of it, and so and I think Boston was probably kind of the first real big three. Rondo, KG, Paul Pierce.
Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and KG. You said Rondo.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I'm tripping. Yeah. But that was definitely like the first big three. Then obviously Miami coming along with Bosh and D Wade and LeBron. That kind of started like the everybody race to big three,
right?
And that because of how much success both those groups had, but more recently Miami had when they put together that big three. It kind of became that race of if we want to win a championship, we got to go together and put together a big three. And so now you're seeing everybody do it, and it there are a lot of instances where it just hasn't worked since then.
Yeah, and then also you kind of got to look at the eras as well. Just look at it because. Back then, $25 million was you can't pay nobody no more than $25-30 million, and then sure enough, we're double that amount almost.
Yeah,
and it's been almost a little over 10-15 years since the Heat put their big three together.
Yeah,
so I mean the tax and the first and second tax aprons really has put a strain on a lot of these teams, which again, you're gonna see a lot of teams make some business decisions that you're not gonna agree with, but there are consequences of being a multiple tax repeater, which is why the Warriors went on and did a sign and trade with Clay, which is why Paul George, the Clippers prioritized Kawhi over Paul George, and Paul George ended up leaving for the 76ers.
Yeah.
It's just it's only a matter of time before a lot of these other teams like the Timberwolves, like the Celtics, where they're gonna have to make some hard decisions to kind of get underneath that tax because even I thought the first tax apron was pretty tough. The second one is brutal.
Oh yeah,
brutal. And I'm like, I don't know how you can consistently live in that second tax bracket, thinking that you're gonna win championships.
Yeah,
when you're constantly getting docked every year.
Oh yeah.
So, this is I wouldn't say the new NBA, but it's kind of a different change in the wind in a sense because I mentioned this on Hot 107.1 earlier today.
Yeah,
the trend now, it's always been a trend, but the trend, especially this offseason, is load you up on a bunch of dudes that are 3-and-D or two-way guys. Because the Celtics showed that if you got a bunch of those dudes on your team, you can win a championship.
Yeah.
And so you saw a lot of those guys fly off the board immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So then, that's why they're very highly coveted. That's why you look for those big wings. You draft for those big wings and develop them because, once you have them in your system, and once they're on your team, especially if they're on good contracts, you sitting really good. So that's why for the Grizzlies, their core is pretty much is intact. Their continuity or their entire team is pretty much intact. It's just cutting out the finer edges of this team, of this roster, and they pretty much can just roll the ball out and just, be ready for day one.
Yeah. Speaking of the Grizzlies, a couple of things I wanted to get to, and if we run out of time, we can talk about this in our next segment as well. I saw reports yesterday, and I don't know if I've been able to find the actual tweet. Maybe it came from a story instead of a tweet. But there were Grizzly fan pages on social media that said that Woj was reporting that the Grizzlies are interested in Lauri Markkanen, quote, at times. What does it mean for a team to be interested in a player only at times? And also, follow-up question, like I'm interviewing you.
Right.
What is up? Have you seen like these, and nothing against them, like do your thing, but it feels like there's a lot of like Grizzly fan accounts out there that are like re-reporting news that's out there, and like a couple of them are like things that you can't even go find from the person that they said actually said it.
Mm-hmm.
And then like yesterday I saw, and I think it was this, I saw one Grizzlies page give credit to Woj, but also give credit to another Grizzlies fan page that I guess they saw it on there first. And so now we're crediting other fan pages for the Grizzlies. I don't understand that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, so that the first one, I'm going to speak on the first one with Lauri.
Yeah.
So I actually did see the clip of it.
Okay, so was it on TV?
It was on TV.
Okay,
like Woj did mention the Grizzlies at times. Now the thing is that I feel like it's more so, it's less of, the Grizzlies are poking around to see how much marketing costs, and more so, who else are y'all thinking about trading?
I see.
Because I don't think marketing is their guy.
Yeah.
Because right now their big three, Grizzlies' big three, are locked in for the next 2 seasons. So I don't see the purpose of going after a Lauri Markkanen without guaranteeing him a contract, unless you're just trying to stack and add talent to this team.
Yeah.
Without giving people a contract. So. But I mean, with Utah, I mean, like I think that's more so of they're looking at who else are y'all what players are you interested in trading?
So do you think there's somebody specific that they're like looking at with the Jazz, or is it just kind of like let's gauge interest?
I mean, I think it might be interest, because I think like Walker Kessler was a name that like.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of Grizzly fans, including myself, I'm like, okay, yeah, if Walker Kessler's available.
I was surprised. I think Connor told me this, that Walker Kessler's going to play on their Summer League team.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised to see that.
Yeah, he's on their Summer League team.
Interesting.
So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, if Walker Kessler is somebody they're trying to trade, then I'm like, yeah, I'm interested in Walker Kessler. Why not? Who is Jordan Clarkson? He's on a 2-year deal, but I doubt they want to pay $14 million per season for. Unless there's a transaction period. So you got to give up something to get something.
Yeah.
But I'd highly doubt they want to pay a guy $14 million for the next 2 seasons when you're already paying a Marcus Smart $20+
That's
million.
true. Oh, yeah.
So I highly doubt they're going to move for a Jordan Clarkson. Colin Sexton is the same way. He's getting 18 and 19 million in both seasons, this season, next season. Highly doubt he's getting moved. So, I mean, you're looking at probably one of these fringe at the end of the bench type of rotation guys.
Yeah.
Maybe it is Walker Kessler. Because,
interesting.
Walker Kessler, $3 million this year, $5 million next year. I mean, he could be your fifth big, and you mean to tell me I got to give up, a couple of role players and, a couple of seconds to get him? Might
not be a bad option.
Free up your roster spot if you want to. If you want to add Scottie Pippen Jr. to the team.
Yeah, throw a couple guys in a trade for him and free up a roster spot.
Yeah, and then you free up a two-way guy, and you see a guy that you like, and you can add him to the two-way, just kind of keep him on the squad.
Not a bad idea.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying that Walker Kessler is the guy. I'm just throwing it out there that it could be that the Grizzlies are looking at the fringe level guys, because I doubt they want to move some big money, at least right now.
Yeah,
I'm more than sure they probably will wait until next season.
Oh yeah,
if this season doesn't plan out the way that they expected to plan out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And then they signed Drew. Then they're going to sign Drew Eubanks.
No, I saw that.
They got Eubanks, Markkanen. Taylor Hendricks supposed to be making a big contribution this year, so I'm not sure where they're going to get that other center from. And also John Collins as well. Don't want to leave him out.
That's true, yeah.
So I'm not sure where Walker Kessler fits in along with.
Guess he's got to fit somewhere.
He got to fit somewhere.
Yeah.
But the Jazz, knowing who they are, they're going to try to get the best assets for their player.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of center-starved teams out there that are looking for a starting center.
Oh yeah.
So one of those teams could just say, "Hey, we give you a protective first."
Yeah.
For Walker Kessler, which is a bit expensive.
Sure, but hey.
But if you need a guy, you got to give up something.
True.
So
no, that's absolutely true. We need to get to a break. Let's go ahead and get to that. A lot of free agent news out there, though. So when we come back, we'll talk more about the Grizzlies, more about what's going on in the NBA. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Slash your office building? Impossible! Not call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash 915246799 or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together. Country music singer-songwriter Kylie Morgan absolutely loves her Genesis Diamond ring.
I got so many compliments as soon as I got the ring, and continue to get compliments on it. It looks really pretty on my finger.
Kylie's husband Jay heard folks in the music industry raving about Genesis, and he also did a lot of homework on his own.
When it came to finding the ring, he took it very seriously. He did all the research. I think he knows more about diamonds than any man in the entire world. And that's how he landed on Genesis. He just knew it was.
Jay picked out a stunning, flawless, pear-shaped diamond and said, got the value price Genesis is known for. Tell everyone they knew about the amazing Genesis experience.
When you walk into Genesis, you can just feel the happiness. You know that they're helping find something that symbolizes the love that you have for your partner, and you can feel that as soon as you walk through the door.
Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
All 650 acquisition fee. Telluride RG 510849 MSRP 38305. Forte LXS RE 780 169 MSRP 21820. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey Jeff, I hear you've got the Kia Summer Sticker Sales event going on right now at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Give me some scoop.
Randy, the scoop is I'm ready to put you in a new Kia for less. 2024 Kia Forte LXS 41 MPG Highway, $199 a month, $34.99 due at signing. How about a 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus 0% for 48 months on 2024 EV9. And every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or online anytime. KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
I want to talk more about the NBA and kind of everything going on, because earlier today we talked about the Grizzlies before we went to a break, and earlier today over on The Athletic, I'm subscribed to The Athletic, and I get their daily newsletter for the NBA, The Bounce, and usually a lot of really good stuff in there. Shams Charania, who obviously works for The Athletic, he does like a little piece in there every day, kind of breaking something down or kind of going deeper into something. So I enjoy it. But today they did tier groups for next season in the Western Conference. And I'll be honest, Zach, wasn't a fan of the tier they put the Grizzlies in. But the tiers were kind of sharp. I don't think there was really a perfect tier that I would have put them in. Maybe I'm wrong. So let me toss this up to you and see what you think. So here was the tier behind the Grizzlies. The tier behind the Grizzlies was, quote, Cooper flag jerseys are ready. So obviously bottom of the barrel, you're tanking, you're playing for the number one pick in the NBA draft. That included the Jazz and the Trailblazers. Only two teams part of that tier, the Jazz and the Trailblazers. Kind of going back to what you were saying about the Jazz, could be another rough year where they've got another high pick. The Grizzlies tier, they are in a tier with the Rockets and the Spurs, and the tier is, quote, the play-in would be a good step. Fair tier for the Grizzlies to be in?
No.
I didn't think so either.
The play-in would be a good step?
The play-in would be a good step. It was the Rockets, the Grizzlies, and the Spurs in that tier. Now, let me tell you the tier.
Good step of what? Like,
step in the right direction. It'd be a nice step to see from this team would be the play-in. Now, let me tell you
They were back-to-back 2 seeds. What do you mean?
All right, well, let me tell you what the tier was in front of them.
And that's not against you. I'm just saying.
No, I didn't make the tiers. I know. You're not coming at me. I understand that. But let me tell you the tier in front of them. The tier in front of them was, quote, you have to make the playoffs, not the play-in tier. That tier consisted of the Warriors, Lakers, Kings, and Clippers.
Oh, so they get to make the play. They got to make the playoffs.
They have to make the playoffs, Zach.
But for us, it's just a stepping stone. Like,
I'm sorry,
we're starting from ground zero, Connor.
Not just a stepping stone. It would be a good step. To see the Grizzlies in the play-in, be a good step for this team.
Connor, we went from crawling to walking to running, and now we're back to crawling again.
I think people are just forgetting.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fun when they get I think the renaissance
Zach,
coming through.
Some people here in Memphis are forgetting.
Yes.
About how injured this team or what last season was. But certainly nationally, I mean, we were talking, what was it, the day after the NBA Finals where ESPN put out the story of, like, power rankings, way too early power rankings for next season, and had the Grizzlies,
Yeah, I'm like 19th.
Yeah, like 19th and like 11th in the West.
I'm like, on what universe, man?
Yeah, that's...
on what universe? They returning the same core from the start of last year.
So here's what they said, because they did a little blurb under it about all three of these teams, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, and the Spurs. Blurbs. Here's the quote. I feel very confident the Rockets and Grizzlies will make this a 12-team race in the West for the play-in. Houston had a great finish to the year and will be better next season. Memphis should be healthy and is a very good team with Ja Morant on the court. It might be too early to include the Spurs, but I will not doubt Wemby.
Oh, so you don't doubt Wemby, but will you put the Grizzlies out here in the play-in? Okay.
Messenger.
Okay. Look, here's the thing. I'm like, if I need to be fair about the Grizzlies, I can be.
Sure.
I'm not trying to, cape my flag with them every chance I get.
Right.
But come on.
But
man.
yeah, come on.
Come on,
I
dog.
mean, and I get it. The West is very competitive. But at the same time,
the West took a hit the last week.
No, you're right about that.
This past week, the West took a hit. Denver took a hit. The Clippers took a hit.
Yeah.
The Warriors took a hit.
Yeah. You're right about that.
The Lakers have been constantly taking hits since the bubble.
Anything. I mean, they haven't done anything this offseason.
But you expect those teams to be ahead of the Grizzlies to be in the playoffs, but yet this young Grizzlies team that's been second in the West in back-to-back years, got to make the play-in.
Well,
just to prove that, hey, we're okay.
That's what it looks
like.
We're
healthy again.
That's what it looks like.
We got Ja Morant back.
That's right.
Like, okay, all right.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. I thought it was interesting. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I'm glad I got that reaction.
It's interesting, and obviously it's definitely one of those trigger pieces.
But I also hate the tiers. Like it's either you're a good step would be the play-in, or you have to make the playoffs,
or you're like a bad team regardless. It's like no,
you're either a team that's going to be in the running for the number one pick. A play-in would be a nice step, or you have to be in the playoffs. And I don't think that's a fair. Any of those are fair tiers for the Grizzlies.
Top 5. Top 4. I'm putting top 4 next year.
I like that. Top 4. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to a break. When we come back to start our 5 o'clock hour, we're talking college basketball with Kevin Sweeney.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Do summer projects your way with 4th of July savings from the Home Depot. With free delivery on over 2 million items, you can make the most of summer grilling and dig into gardening. Plus, get same-day delivery on thousands of products like power tools and storage to tackle any last-minute garage project. Summer your way with 4th of July savings from the Home Depot. Outdoors get more done. Order selected Sunday night by 4 p.m. subject to
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
It's the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. It's going strong at Gossett Kia on the Pike. Are you ready to ride in your new Kia with 41 MPG Highway? We Gossett! 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $34.99 to assigning. How about 282 miles of EPA estimated range with new 2023 Kia EV6 Win, $249 a month. And 2024 Kia Telluride LX3, $57 a month, both $39.99 due at signing, all 24-month lease. And get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
insurance. Lease includes PF 695, 650 acquisition fee, EV6, P5610964, MSRP 50,200, Telluride RG 510 849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820, plus finance through Hyundai, excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and WT538 Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. No Brett today. He's out the rest of the week, but he'll be back on Monday with us. But joining us now to start our third and final hour, Kevin Sweeney, college basketball reporter for Sports Illustrated, joins us now to talk the offseason, talk some college basketball. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. I was real excited last week during the NBA draft when the Grizzlies took 3 guys from college, and when I heard we were going to have you on, I knew you'd be perfect to tell us more about these guys that the Grizzlies took. So I want to start there. I think, obviously, Zach Edey in the first round at number 9. A lot of people familiar with Zach Edey. They've seen him play at Purdue the last couple of years. What do you think about that fit for him with the Memphis Grizzlies? What can you tell people that might not be as familiar with his game of how he can translate what he did at Purdue, obviously back-to-back player of the year, very dominant career at Purdue, how he can translate that to the NBA game?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fit in Memphis for Zach. To pair him with a guy who can protect the rim and is so mobile like Jaren Jackson, I think is really, really valuable. I think, playing in an organization that has had experience with another kind of hulking center in Steven Adams, I think that's the guy that a lot of people use as a comp for Edey. Mm-hmm. It's someone who could take up space and be physical, change the look, change the dynamic of the game with his size and strength. Look, I think when you talk to NBA people about Edey, yes, he's polarizing, but I think when they watch the film and you ditch kind of all the preconceived notions you have about the 7'4" guy who theoretically is pretty slow and theoretically can't move. I think when you watch the film, you see this is a guy who can help an NBA team because number one, he's a dominant rebounder. He has phenomenal hands. His strength and his ability to kind of put you under the rim and score in the post is impactful and will be at the NBA level. Mm-hmm. And he's more mobile than I think people give him credit for. Like, is he ever going to be switching ball screens? Probably not. But all this talk about, Donovan Clingan as this elite rim protecting prospect, Zach Edey tested better across the board in terms of speed, agility, athleticism than Donovan Clingan did. That's not a knock on Clingan. I think it's a credit to Edey and the strides he has made in that area of his game. I think he will find a way to be productive. Will he be a superstar? Probably not. But can he be someone that adds value to your organization? I think absolutely. And I like Memphis gambling at 9 with him.
Yeah. In the second round, they took a pair of college prospects as well. Jalen Wells, who just got done with a couple of seasons at Washington State, and then Cam Spencer from UConn. What did you make of those two picks? I think those two more people unfamiliar with those guys than Zach Edey. What can you tell us about those two guys? I know a lot of people here have been talking about one of the needs for the Grizzlies was to go out and get shooters, get kind of that three-point presence. It seems like both these guys can do that. What can you tell people about Jalen Wells and Cam Spencer?
Yeah, Wells just a remarkable story. I mean, a kid who a year ago was transferring from a 500 Division II team, was visiting mid-major schools. Washington State jumps in, and a year later he's a guy who's on track to get a guaranteed contract in the NBA. Has great size, 6'8", 6'7", 6'8". Shot 42% from three at volume last year. Athletic, really that 3-and-D archetype, and a guy that I think was so far off the NBA radar that it took some time for people to really take notice. But there's a reason he stayed in the draft instead of going in, transferring. He was in the portal and kind of considered his options, decided to stay in the draft because the interest is really strong from NBA teams. And I thought, pretty good value for them to get him, mid-second round. And then Spencer, consummate winner. One of the most competitive prospects I think anyone's ever really been around. A great part of that UConn national title team this year. Another guy who has shot a ridiculous percentage in his career, 42% across 5 seasons, 44% the last 2 years. Like, he is a big-time shooter, very cerebral, a playmaker on the defensive end, not like a super explosive athlete or very quick. So, the foot speed will be a concern, but high steal rate guy who gets in passing lanes, makes winning plays. He's a guy that, I thought was someone I would want late second rounder as a priority 2A. And so for Memphis to get him at I think 53 was a pretty good value.
I said this after they drafted him. It felt like to me watching UConn last year, like Cam Spencer was Dan Hurley on the court. Like the fire that Dan Hurley coaches with is the fire I see that Cam Spencer plays with. Did you see that? I mean, talk about kind of that fiery personality that he carries with him on the court. You mentioned defensively. Obviously, that's kind of part of it. What do you see with that from him?
Yeah, look, I think one of the biggest reasons that UConn's been so successful the last 2 years is that they finally found dudes who are as competitive as Dan Hurley is. And no one kind of fit that more than Cam. I think the other thing with Cam Spencer, obviously they had the Bob Cousy Award winner on their team in Tristan Newton. They had 2 top 10 picks in Klingon and Castle. Mm-hmm. If you ask the UConn staff and kind of put a gun to their head and said, hey, who was our most important player last year? I think most of them have said privately and would say publicly that the answer is Cam Spencer. Wow. Like, that guy was so essential to what allowed them to repeat. And again, some physical limitations from a speed perspective, but shooting, toughness, and competitiveness are valued assets in the NBA, and I think you'll find a way.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while since we've talked to you, Kevin. I think we had you on around the Final Four national championship, but we really haven't caught up with you since then, and a ton has happened. I guess we can stick with UConn and talk about Dan Hurley. Not only was he offered the Kentucky job, it was reported, but also the big thing with the Lakers, and it seemed like kind of very much up in the air on if he would take that job in LA and go be the Lakers' next coach. He ends up staying at UConn. When you first saw that report from Woj that Dan Hurley was now the number one name for the Lakers, did you think that he was going to go take that job? Did you feel like it was going to be kind of this long process where it was kind of 50-50? Did you think he was definitely going to come back to UConn? What was that feeling like, and what do you make of his decision to come back and run it back with UConn?
Yeah, I thought once it broke, there was a really good chance that it would happen, just because Dan Hurley wouldn't have let it broke if he wasn't seriously considering it. And he has a great relationship with Woj, and that's been very public in the last several weeks and whatnot. Look, I was texted by a source in probably late January of this year, just when it started to become a real possibility that UConn would repeat, who said if Dan Hurley wins the second national championship, he's going to be trying to coach the Knicks. Like he's going, his focus is going to pivot to coaching in the NBA, and obviously the opportunity first came with the Lakers, and I just think for him it was really hard with the timing of everything, coming off the 2 national championships, feeling so loved, feeling on top of the world to restart. I do think the NBA is in his future. I don't know when that will happen. Again, if the Knicks ever become available, I think that will be something that is very, very appealing to him. But look, I was not surprised the Lakers took a run at him. Was not surprised he seriously entertained it, and then maybe a little surprised he turned it down. But look, it's so hard to kind of get in the mind of Dan Hurley because he's wired so differently than everyone else, and really a unique figure. And so nothing will shock me with Dan, and turning it down didn't shock me either.
Well, that's a great point about Dan Hurley, because when all of this was going on, you would hear so many people that, obviously know a lot more than I do about the situation, saying that, this decision was not just going to be a Dan Hurley decision, that he's very family oriented, and, his wife, his father were going to be big time factors in this decision. And there would be people that say, oh, if you ask me if I want to stay in Storrs, Connecticut, or, go and live in Los Angeles, it's very easy for me to pick Los Angeles. And I was telling people, that's not the deal with Dan Hurley. Like, living in Storrs, Connecticut is not an issue for Dan Hurley. How much did family, his wife and his father, play a role in this decision, do you think?
I think it was a big part, maybe not the only part. I think him and his wife's relationship gets talked about a lot in the media, but I think what, maybe is probably underappreciated about it is how important she was in his life when he was really struggling, post-college, as he really dealt with a lot of mental health issues and has been very, very vocal about those. And so I think they're very much a team, as I think many kind of husband and wife pairings are, but I think with the Hurleys, it's just a little different because of everything that they've went through as a family. What he has went through as always the third brother, always the overlooked, or the third Hurley, always overlooked, always behind Bobby, always behind Bob Sr. I just think it was really, really hard for him to feel like he was letting those people in his life down if he was taking the Lakers job. And maybe that's not what it would have been, right? I think they all would have supported him. But, I think they were kind of on the don't mess with Happy side of things. And Dan decided, at least for now, not to mess with Happy.
One of the other big coaching changes in college basketball over the offseason, John Calipari leaves Kentucky to be the Arkansas head coach. Obviously, it's been talked about a lot here, the proximity of Memphis and Fayetteville, and obviously the history with John Calipari and the University of Memphis. What do you think of that hire? I've heard some people say that, maybe this is the start of the retirement tour for John Calipari. Maybe you won't have kind of that what he had in the past, what he had at Memphis, what he had when he started at Kentucky. A lot of people throw out the only one national championship with the Wildcats. What do you make of him going to Arkansas? He's put together, seemingly on paper, a good team. What do you see with that fit?
Yeah, look, I think it's funny with this year. I mean, sort of got his hand forced into building the type of portal-centric roster that a lot of people have wanted him to build at Kentucky for years.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it works. I think there's some limitations there, but the balance in terms of returners, freshmen, and transfers is pretty solid, and that's what you would hope to have to win a national title in this day and age. I think, look, how to frame this marriage, I think, is fascinating because it's not like he's replacing a failed head coach. Obviously, Musk didn't have a great final season, but 3 straight trips to the second weekend, like the standard is high, and Cal. Like what Cal did at Kentucky the last 5 years would not be good enough at Arkansas to make this worthwhile, make the commitment worthwhile. And so, can he consistently make second weekends? Can he go to a Final Four? Right? I don't think national title is the expectation, but I sort of think that for John Calipari's success, or for John Calipari's tenure at Arkansas to be deemed a success, he has to make a Final Four, and he's got 5, 6, 7 years left in his career to do it at most. And so, I think it'll be fascinating to see how it all shakes out. Obviously, they'll be a big player in recruiting. They already are. They have the NIL to back it up. He will have every resource he needs, and so it's really on him to go out and win the games.
Yeah. Kevin Sweeney joining us from Sports Illustrated to talk college basketball. Here locally, a lot of talk about the Memphis Tigers. Penny Hardaway, after the end of last season, very disappointing. Really, most of the conference slate, we talked a lot about it last year, but then getting to the conference tournament, losing in the first round and completely missing the NCAA tournament. He's pretty much had to completely build a new roster himself via the transfer portal. And a lot of the talk here locally was about what would happen with David Jones. So I guess let's start there. How surprised were you that David Jones kept his name in the draft instead of returning to Memphis?
Look, in previous years, I don't think I would have been surprised. The way things were going this year with the way that almost every kind of 50-50 decision decided to go back to school, take the NIL money, become a millionaire that way instead of rolling the dice in the draft. I think that made it a surprise. I think the way it played out with how kind of openly confident Penny was, that made it a surprise. And then obviously David Jones not getting picked was, I don't think, a surprise to me on draft night, but certainly adds some further complexity to an already funky situation. So yeah, look, I think it was a bit of a shock. It's hard to blame him. He will be positioned to play in the NBA in some form next year. He will get paid handsomely to do so. But I thought Memphis planned its offseason around having him back, and now they don't. It's been hard. And the fact that they didn't kind of turn around and immediately go get someone else, I think, was also a little bit of a surprise. We'll see if there's a July or August surprise. We've certainly seen them in Memphis before, but it's a big hole to try to fill, and we'll see if Penny can do it.
What's out there that the Tigers can maybe go out there and get? Because like you said, I think even before the David Jones decision, Penny Hardaway had kind of hinted at adding another piece to this roster, and now with David Jones out of the fold, 3 scholarships still remaining. Is there a guy that comes to your mind that's out there in the portal with it, starting to get slim, that could fit a role for the Tigers next year?
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone in the portal at this point who'd be worth the price you'd have to pay to get him. Right. Now, does that mean you don't do it? I don't know, but to me, there's role players out there. I'm not sure there's a guy who I would want starting at Memphis out there in the portal that I think will be eligible. There's Keelan Boone, who I'm pretty sure will not be ruled eligible by the NCAA. He's going through an appeals process, I believe, right now. I think Memphis' most likely addition would be through the international market. We've seen in the last several weeks more and more guys come over, high-level prospects, in some cases guys who are already 20, 21, 22 years old, who want an NIL bag and have kind of structured overseas contracts to allow them to come to college despite the fact that they've been functionally pros for the last couple of years. To me, that's the most likely avenue. I'm not totally sure Memphis will be able to pull one off, but I do think if they do add to this team, I would imagine it will be from the international market. I know they have been involved with some guys. Not sure the status of all of those, but they have worked those markets at least.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask you about that because I've noticed, like you said, the past couple of weeks, you're seeing a lot of international guys committing to colleges, and it seemed like a lot more than I remember in recent years, and so that is directly tied to NIL, right?
Yeah, NIL is a huge part of it for sure. I wouldn't say it's the only factor, but I think it's probably the primary one. Because now it's a great financial decision. It's a really good quality of life decision in a lot of cases, and it also sets you up to be evaluated the most by the NBA. So kind of checks all the boxes, and it's certainly growing. I know, obviously some bigger name guys. BYU got a kid who will be a top 10 pick in the draft next year, but Wichita State just added Matej Bozjak, who's a big man, 22 years old, has been playing rotation minutes in the Adriatic League, which is one of the 5 or so best basketball leagues in the world, right? Yeah. That's the type of guy you can get. Is he going to start at Wichita State? I don't think so, but can he be a good rotation player? Absolutely. And so I think if you're Memphis, just finding someone ideally who's a little bit older, who's played in a lot of high-level games. Yes, it's a different world, college versus overseas, but to me that would be the type of guy I'd be targeting, and as I understand it, is the type of guys they've looked at. There are some big European national team events, the U18 and U20 European championships here in July, and there could be some movement after that. So I would say late July, early August, the timeline for those type moves.
You also mentioned Keelan Boone, the transfer from UNLV. You mentioned that he's appealing for another year to the NCAA. I've heard that name brought up by people here locally about a guy that Memphis is looking at. What's the story with him? What is going on with this appeals process? And you mentioned you think it will probably get denied. What's the story, though, with it?
Basically, remember in December there was a lawsuit led by Raekwon Battle, who was a player at West Virginia. There's a lawsuit over 2-time transfers having to sit out, and the NCAA lost that lawsuit. And relatively recently, in the last month or so, the kind of final filings got dealt with in court. And there was a line in that filing that said that the NCAA agreed to give every player who had sat out as a result of the rule for any amount of time an extra year of eligibility. People interpreted that as someone someone like Keelan Boone, who sat like the first 10 games of this year before that TRO was granted in December, being able to play another year, play a sixth year of college basketball. But, as I understand it, there's a difference between a year of eligibility and a season of competition.
Right.
You get four seasons of competition, and you have 5 years of eligibility to complete that. Basically, you are getting year 6 to complete your 4 years, rather than, now you get 5 seasons to play or 6 seasons to play. As I understand it, he's likely to lose, but he did put his name in the portal, kind of keep his options open as he tries to interpret this. It was very confusing.
Yeah.
The day or so after it came out, there was several compliance people, coaches, all hitting me up trying to figure out what the deal was. Eventually, it was sorted out, at least in my understanding. But who knows? Things could change. This dance of life.
Yeah, no, you're right. Very confusing. I think Jaquan Walton, I know he just signed with the Thunder, but I think he was also trying to get in that. I know here locally, everyone talking about out of eligibility, and then there were some tweets going around that he was taking visits and entered his name in the transfer portal. So I'm starting to think that he might be in that same group of guys trying to get an extra year. Last question about the Tigers, and then I want to get a couple of quick other questions in here before we got to let you go. Looking at this roster right now for Penny Hardaway, he's added 7 transfers. He's got 1 true freshman signed. He's got another one committed. If they don't add, or let's say they go and add 1 or 2 more players, but they're rotation pieces, non-starters, how do you view this team for Penny Hardaway going into next season, and how competitive can they be?
Look, I think there's enough talent where being the favorite in the American should be the expectation. That being in the NCAA tournament should be the expectation. But it's certainly not overwhelming, right? It's a group of, and it's also it's a group of entirely new faces that have to gel together, and that has been a consistent problem under Penny of getting guys on the same page, being consistent, and that's something I think they're really going to have to figure out. Like how can they be their best from day one next year? And look, it helps to have a really good veteran guard in Tyrese Hunter. I think he's a huge part of this. And they're an old team overall. Hunter, Colby Rogers, Danger's been around forever. Nick Jordan's obviously been through the wars. Tyrese Smith's been through the war. So, Cisse, they've got the experience level to make this work and be a tournament team and kind of quiet the noise. But it's hard to mesh these type of pieces together, and I think at this point it's probably I think the roster meets expectations but doesn't exceed, and so it's on Penny to meet or more with putting it all together and finding ways to win basketball games now that the team's in place.
Yeah. Looking around the country, what team, maybe several teams, has impressed you with what they've done with the transfer portal or through recruiting, that could make an impact, make improvements next season?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of remarkable. I spent so much time basically building out roster sheets and projected depth charts for every team in the high major basketball. And, you're basically ripping up last year's and starting fresh. Everybody's new. Everybody thinks their transfers are great. I think Alabama, who's a lot of people's number one, they deserve a lot of credit because they've balanced freshmen. They have 3 really, really good ones. One who could start, and Darion Reed, another on LeBaron Filan, who's I think a potential first-round pick next year. Brought back Mark Sears, brought back Rand Nelson, and then added some really good pieces in the portal. Chris Youngblood from South Florida, who's a huge piece of that team last year. Cliff Omori, the best rim protector in the portal out of Rutgers, a great fit with Oath. You couldn't have scripted it to go any better for Bama. That's why obviously they're right in the top of the picture nationally. But I think teams at the top, it's pretty clear connection. If you did well in the portal, you're gonna be pretty darn good.
Right.
That's roster construction today, and certainly give credit to Nate Oates and the way they've recruited. It gives them an opportunity, especially at a school obviously not really known for basketball, to go to a Final Four 1 year, turn around and maybe go win a national title the next.
Yeah. I saw some highlights yesterday of incoming Baylor freshman VJ Edgecombe playing for the Bahamas. Obviously, a lot of people talking about Cooper Flagg next year, but who are some freshmen that are coming in next season that people should keep an eye on?
Yeah, VJ is really good. Super athletic, slashing wing. But Bahamas roots, played high school basketball in New York. He's one to watch. Rutgers has 2 5-stars coming in, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. Dylan, the brother of Ron Harper, Jr., son of Ron Harper Sr., obviously basketball in his blood, and he's considered to be the best of that group. They will certainly be one to watch. Some of the international guys coming over, top 20 type NBA draft talents, and Kasparis Jakashunas at Illinois, Igor Demin at BYU, Liam McNeely, the shooting wing from Montverde, who was kind of Super Flag's running mate, if you will, this past year in high school. He's off to UConn. He should have a huge year. It's a really fun high school class. Like Flag and the group they have at Duke is phenomenal. Duke, I think, has a great chance to be one of those high school driven teams that complemented with a couple of portal guys and finds a way to balance that and compete at the top of the country. They're going to be really, really good. It's a fun group. I'm excited about 24-25.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, last thing for you. We've been asking all our guests this today, and so I'm curious your answer. Tomorrow, 4th of July, obviously everybody's going to get around their television and watch the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. So 10 minutes on the clock. How many hot dogs are you downing?
Man, this is a great question. I won a hot dog eating contest my freshman year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Or freshman year of college, excuse me. But that was just whoever could eat 6 the fastest, and I tanked them in like 3-4 minutes.
Are you a water dog guy?
I couldn't do the dip. I dipped it once. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
I think I could eat like 12 to 15. Like, I think I could really push. I don't know if I could go any... I'm worried I'd hit a wall at like 8 or 9. That's
I think that's a good answer. I think 8 or 9 even is good. Not being a professional food eating competitor, I guess you could say. But Kevin, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the holiday tomorrow, and we definitely got to have you on soon around when the season starts.
Thank you, sir. Likewise.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Sweeney joining us to talk some college basketball from Sports Illustrated. We always love having him on, especially right now, talk some off-season hoops with him. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
All 650 acquisition fee, Telluride RG 510849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and licensee dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff, I hear you've got the Kia Summer Sticker Sales event going on right now at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Give me some scoop.
Randy, the scoop is I'm ready to put you in a new Kia for less. 2024 Kia Forte LXS 41 MPG Highway, $199 a month, $34.99 do it signing. How about a 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month, $39.99 do it signing, 24-month lease.
Plus 0% for 48 months on 2024 EV9. And every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or online anytime. KiaMountMoriah.com.
Everyone loves home improvement. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51 makes it easy. A real hardware store run by 3 generations of a real hardware family where you can get it all. Whether it's repairs, remodeling, or new building, kitchens, bathrooms, tiles, tubs, vanities, sinks, mirrors, lighting, furniture, even door hardware. All the latest designs as well as timeless classics. And if outdoor fun is on your mind, they have the big green egg and accessories. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51, 8560 Highway 51. Easy home improvement.
They say health is wealth, and I could not agree more. That's why if you or somebody in your life is living with everyday aches and pains, I want to tell you about Relief Factor. And I'm telling you, I can feel the difference. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that helps fight pain naturally. Naturally. Now that's a big deal. Developed by doctors. Relief Factor's unique formula of ingredients all work together to help support your body's response to inflammation. Instead of masking pain for a couple of hours, Relief Factor actually helps reduce or even eliminate your pain for good. Whether it's neck, back, joint, or muscle pain, if you're looking to feel better, live better, give Relief Factor a try. In 3 weeks, you will know if it's working because you'll feel it. For instance, I was sent Relief Factor to try, and I've been taking it every single day. I'll tell you what, I feel the difference every day. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Save on your first order. Don't let pain tell you how to live. Fight back naturally with Relief Factor. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
Marty McNate at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown is turning back prices to give you the best deal in this decade.
Doc gave me orders to turn back time with the 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE. We got it for $249 a month, and it gets 42 miles per gallon highway. That's much better than my DeLorean, Randy.
You got that right, Marty McNate. And I hear at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, you got choices.
Take your pick from 2024 Tiguan S front-wheel drive or 2024 Teos SE for $279.28 a month.
Great Scott, McNate. That's Gossett Volkswagen Germantown on Winchester Road. Plus, get 0% for 60 months on tows.
Your future is whatever you make of it, Randy, so get to Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at GossettVWG.com.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Times. We got about 30 minutes, a little less than 30 minutes left in today's show as we wrap up this Wednesday edition. Tomorrow, the 4th of July, I said it with Kevin. It was before I saw this story during the break. I said all eyes going to be on Coney Island for the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest. But I was wrong because the eyes are going to be on El Paso. Also, how about Kevin participating in a hot dog eating contest in college and said he would be able to down a lot of dogs. So I think he's the leader in terms of who thinks they can, because he said 12 to 15. Then John said realistically probably like 6. And then Max said like 10. So I think that's where we stand right now. But I saw this during the break, Zach. Joey Chestnut, the American hero, this comes from USA Today. He will be participating in a hot dog eating contest tomorrow. It will just not be the one taking place on Coney Island. He will be competing against soldiers at the Fort Bliss Army Base in El Paso, Texas. Now, this competition in El Paso is going to be a 5-minute contest rather than the 10-minute contest that they do with the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. And his goal is not only to win in El Paso, but he is hoping that he can consume more hot dogs and buns in 5 minutes than the winner at Nathan's contest manages to finish in 10.
So I think his record is like 70-something? 76. And that's in 10 minutes.
He said, this was a quote from him, "I think 56 is doable."
In my mind, that's kind of where I was at. That's like 40 to 50. It was the number.
So Joey Chestnut is telling us he thinks he can eat 56 hot dogs and buns in 5 minutes. And we're talking about, that's crazy that you say you can eat 12 in 10 minutes or 10 in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
A pro's pro.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best.
One of the goats. One of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, you know he's doing an eating contest with Kobayashi on Netflix.
Oh, that's right. When is that?
I think that's like later on in the year. I think August. I think they said. I can't remember.
Interesting. I know he was down in Oxford for the spring game and was just supposed to be judging it, and then jumped in and started downing dogs.
So he was judging, got a late jump, and he still won.
Yeah. Supposedly Lane Kiffin just like jumped in his DM, was like, "Hey, we're thinking about maybe doing a hot dog eating contest at the spring game. Like, would you want to come
and judge
And he was like, "Sure." And so he's there judging. They like talked to me. He's like, "Yeah, not gonna be eating, but like, whatever." And then like 2 minutes in, he jumps in, pushes guy aside, and just starts going at it.
It's like move.
Yeah, it's like one of those like instincts.
Move these beefy.
You see hot dogs in the air, and you got to compete.
You see his scrawny self trying to push in the offensive line and the defensive line.
Get out of here.
It's like, you're amateurs. Get out the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me show you how to do it.
It's like when you're around like a basketball court, you got to put shots up. You know, if you walk by a basketball court and you have someone has a basketball, you got to put shots up.
I mean, do you have to?
You have to. It's a rule, Zach.
You have to.
It's like the law. Okay, how many? Now for you, Zach, it'd be a little different because you don't eat hot dogs.
I mean, like a veggie hot dog.
Is that a thing?
It's a thing.
I have no idea.
It's good. It's a thing. We always.
Do you partake in veggie dogs?
Yes.
Okay.
They're good to me. I guess in my mind. I don't know about how everybody else
wouldn't
feels.
like it. I can tell you that much.
Well, you don't know it because you haven't tried it.
I don't try many things, Zach.
That's the problem.
Picky guy.
That's the
Hate to
problem.
say it. Okay, so how many veggie dogs do you think you could down in 10 minutes?
Probably like 4.
Really? So you're going low. You're going real low.
Because including the bread,
Are
that's
you
4?
Like 4? You're not dunking in water.
No
chance.
If bread is dunked in water, I'm not eating it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's the key. You know, you gotta dunk it in the water and.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Connor, how many do you think you can get to?
With the water dog strategy,
It's your call. If you want to do water dogs, go for it. If not, be like Zach and say 4.
with water dogs, I'm downing a dog a minute.
So 10. So you're like Max.
Yes.
Okay.
So are you doing like the one dog approach, or you're like double fisting? Like what are we doing?
Pause.
We only go one dog here.
Okay. Okay. See, so like, what is the approach? Because like you're saying one dog at a time. I mean, are you trying to go fast at first and then maybe like slow down at the end, but you've already kind of built up at the beginning, or are you just trying to be consistent through that 10 minutes? I mean, what? Like, I don't know what the approach is.
I think you just gotta go consistent and think just a dog a minute.
Okay, and just try
you got
to stay
60
on that
seconds.
Timeline. I'll be honest. When I was thinking about this early, I thought it'd be fun to bring up to the guests, ask them what they thought with the 4th of July tomorrow. Because I thought about bringing something like rank patriotic movies or patriotic song. That's so overdone. I mean, that's
not to say that we're not patriotic.
Yeah, I mean, I love a little God Bless America. I mean, get all stiff and start saluting. I mean,
we got a USA flag outside of our house.
We were actually we were going through like what would you consider patriotic songs last night, and like I mean, Party in the USA's in there. I mean, God Bless the USA, obviously, in there. Now that I'm listing them, I can't even think of other, like, patriotic. Something that are out
James
there.
Brown?
Yo, yeah, he's got one. Yeah. Oh, that's right. You got to have that in there.
Stars and Stripes
Rocky.
Forever.
I'm not familiar with Stars and Stripes. Which one is it? You can't say it.
I mean, it's the song that, when the fireworks are going off, that's going to be played.
The one that's like the... Of
course.
Oh, that.
Okay, I mean, he's right.
I didn't know there was a name for it.
I mean, they play it during the... I mean, when you watch fireworks, you see that, or you hear that.
That's more like a parade type of feel. Like...
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I can't. But I couldn't think of enough. It's overplayed. Whatever. So I was like, I think I want to know how many dogs our guests can down and how many dogs y'all can down.
Yeah, it's like 4.
That's not a bad answer. I don't think that's a bad answer. When I was originally thinking about it, I was thinking like maybe 6 or 7. Maybe.
Like if you really go in.
Yeah, I remember one like when I was younger, and I was at like church one night. We had hot dogs there for like the dinner, and I had like 7, I think, or 8.
Grief.
But I was young.
But you wasn't timed though. That's the thing.
I wasn't timed. It was like over like a 30-minute span. And I was just kind of like hanging out, eating hot dogs. Now towards the end, it got to a challenge because they were like, Brian, how many hot dogs have you eaten? And I'm like, probably like 4 or 5. And they're like, and someone's got to throw out, bet you can't eat 7 or bet you can't eat 6. Well, then what am I supposed to do? Say you're right. Yeah. Oh no, you got me.
No, yeah, my stomach says I can't have another.
But my mind says mine never matters, Zach. I mean, you gotta push through. I'll go realistically probably like 8 or 9. I'm kind of like John. John said like when I get full, like I'm done. But if it's a competition, like I'm not going water dog approach though. So that makes it tougher.
So it's just straight.
But what I'll do, I won't dunk the dogs. I'll
bite and
throw
drink.
one in my mouth and then drink water. I'm fine with that. But I can't dunk the bread and then
eat it.
That's disgusting.
It's a wet dog.
It sure is. You got that right, Zach.
It's a wet dog.
You are absolutely right. Last thing before we get to a break. We kind of mentioned it earlier. Didn't really have a lot of time. It's been a busy show. Didn't have a ton of time to talk about it. LeBron James signs a 2-year, $104 million max deal to return to the Lakers. Bronny agreed to a 4-year deal worth $7.9 million with a team option the 4th season. What did you make of all of that news from the James family today?
I'm sorry. Repeat that again.
LeBron gets $104 million.
Yeah.
2 years. Bronny, $7.9 million, 4 years.
I call
team
that
option on the end of that 4
I
years.
call that a good day for the James family.
Sounds like a good start to the 4th
That
of July.
sounds like a great start. You telling me I get what 100 mil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 100 mil off rip total, and then my son gets another 8.
Yeah, I'll take it. You know,
why not? Why not?
It's a good day.
However many years, it don't matter. Like all that money's gonna hit the count.
Sure.
At some point.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing. Is like, good for Bronny.
We're building generational wealth.
Good for Bronny. Like, yeah,
I'm a billionaire athlete.
Sure.
And my son is a millionaire.
Yes, and like, sure. Did his dad have a role in him getting drafted?
Of course.
Yes, but at the end of the day, who cares? In my opinion, who cares?
Yeah.
And I know like people will disagree with that.
It's the diehard Bronny fans, Laker fans, LeBron fans gonna be like, yeah, you're gonna be a part of the rotation.
No, that's coming.
Well, give it time.
And I thought that was really interesting yesterday. I mentioned this, and like I said, we haven't had enough time to talk about it, and I don't think we have a ton of time right now to talk about it. But that was one interesting thing that J.J. Redick said yesterday during their introductory press conference. That's one thing I did last night was watch the 20-minute or so interview with Bronny James and Dalton Knecht. Anybody wanting to count at home, Dalton Knecht got 8 questions. Bronny James got 12 questions. 2 were posed to both of them as one question. Those are also included in the 8 and 12. But J.J. Redick was kind of talking about how, like, the idea for Bronny is to, like, come in and be that developmental guy, full developmental, and, like, said that he's a case study to kind of get that guy that might not be ready right now but has things that you think can fit and develop him in your style, what you want from him, and then maybe down the road, 2 years, maybe 3 years down the road, sure, could be earlier, but you know you're hoping that he plays a role for you in your rotation. I think that's a great idea, and I think you can say that and also acknowledge the fact that LeBron James being his dad definitely helped that matters.
For sure.
This isn't just they saw Bronny James and said, oh man, this guy fits a need for us and we can develop him. It's more to that, but I also do think that this isn't a terrible idea, and that if we saw more of this, I wouldn't be mad because I think it's something that could work in the NBA, especially with what they've done in recent years with the G League. Kind of every team now has a G League. Development is kind of becoming a higher priority to these teams than it was even 4 or 5 years ago. So it's gonna be interesting to see how all this plays out with Bronny. But good for him.
I'm really rooting for the kid to kind of be successful.
Yeah,
because I'm not gonna pray for another kid's downfall, especially another player.
No,
man, that's crazy. No. Go get your money. Which he did.
Yeah.
He got drafted.
Yeah.
He's one of the 58 players that got drafted this year.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Good for him.
Now from here on out, it's on you.
Work your tail off and show that
be
you
the best teammate.
Yeah.
Be the best teammate. Be the best locker room guy that you can be, and grow your talent.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. But let's go ahead and get to a break. We need to get to one, and when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Don't miss the Independence Day sale at Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Take advantage of incredible deals like 20% off all used clubs, Orange Dot apparel starting at $29.99, and all closeout shoes and bags get an extra 20% off. Shop in store or online for great Independence Day deals. Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee. Get there.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall pool bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
It's time to ride during the Gossett Mitsubishi Motors Summer Sales Event. Check out 43 MPG Highway in a new 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. $17,935 or $249 a month. Need extra room for your vacation? Let Gossett make it happen with 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander. $30,490 or $449 per month. And go for miles and miles with 420 total range in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. $599 a month. Plus peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Military rebate, 500 royalty rebate. Mirage Outlander 84 months. Mirage RHO 10934. MSRP 18435. Outlander RZO 55981. MSRP 31490. PHEV RZO 35245. MSRP 48065. Includes 1095 acquisition fee. Sale price includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes processing fee of $695. Lease terms includes processing fee of $695. 15 cents per mile excess wear and tear. With approved credit CD for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Now back to Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live.
In your life have you seen anything like that?
Goodbye. Hello, high school. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Zach, I learned a couple things today. The first, that 4 might be a little low. One of our friends, former colleagues, J. Morgan Harder, texted me and said that he's going for 6. Said 4's a little too light. He's going for 6. The goal would be a dog a minute, but minimum would be 6 is what he told me.
Yeah, I don't know how y'all can finish a hot dog.
I mean, here's the thing. We're not sitting down just eating a hot dog.
So you overdoing.
I mean, this is a competition, Zach. I mean, you got to get in the right mindset. Yeah. We're down in dogs.
So you're doing jumping jacks while you chomping on hot dogs.
Maybe. I can go to the gym afterwards, you know?
It's going to be a long gym session, boy.
That's
all I got. It's going to be a long
go for a run after or something like that.
You're not running on a stomach full of hot dogs.
Maybe I take a nap and then I get up and go on a run. I don't know. Something like that. What I really learned today, I don't want to hear it, Zach. It's okay. You know, nothing's wrong with thinking you know 4 is the limit. What I really learned today though has got to be back to what we were talking about earlier, the Athletic and putting the Grizzlies in the quote play-in would be a good step tier. I didn't really like the tiers and how they were kind of set up because I don't think the Grizzlies really fit in any of the tiers. They were bad last year because of how thin the roster was because of injuries. It wasn't because they were a bad team, but I don't think you should go ahead and put them in the it's playoffs or you're terrible, you know, because I think they'll be in the playoffs. I think they'll be firmly in the playoffs. I just didn't really like the tier groups, but I did learn that that's what the Athletic thinks. Also, Kemba Walker announced his retirement yesterday, but Sean reported earlier today he'll join the Charlotte Hornets and their new coach, Charles Lee's coaching staff as a player enhancement coach. What I could have done without today, honestly, maybe what the Athletic said about the Grizzlies, but, you know, I learned that, so I couldn't. You know how it goes, Zach. I guess I could do without this idea, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit. Brett and I talked about it yesterday of the Grizzlies and not any movements yet. And I've seen some people, especially on social media, kind of upset that the Grizzlies haven't made any moves. But Zach, you said it earlier. I mean, right now this roster, we're working on the edges. You know, we're just trying to
fine-tune the edges.
Exactly. And so I'm not worried about the Grizzlies where they're at right now, and I really don't think fans should either. Zach, we're beaming somewhere. What's a game you want to see tonight? Where are you beaming? Or tomorrow. Go to the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest.
Yeah, I definitely would love a trip up to New York again.
I don't think you would sit there and watch the hot dog.
No, that's no.
Get on a Ferris wheel though. That'd be fun. Do they have Ferris wheels up there?
Yeah, they got a Ferris wheel.
Coasters, right?
Yeah, been on a couple of those. They're fun.
That's good. So, okay, you can beam up to Coney Island for all the festivities for the 4th of July.
All it is you just take the train through Brooklyn.
Yeah, I like that. Beam me later tonight. Orioles and Mariners should be a good game. And I mentioned it earlier, Logan Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners. That should be a lot of fun. But that's all the time we have today. A reminder, we won't be here tomorrow for the 4th of July. We'll talk to you again Friday afternoon. Enjoy the 4th, everybody. Be safe, and we'll talk to you on Friday.
This is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have